Chapter 548. The powerful chill made her feel her body quickly turn cold. Even if her celestial essence continued to circulate within her body, it could not drive away this cold. This cold even froze her spiritual consciousness, not to mention continuing to walk. Shen Qinyu felt sure that if she did not retreat, she would turn into an icicle in the next moment. Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness was a starry sky's sea of consciousness. Yet, circulating his celestial essence to its fullest extent was already unbearable. How could he not understand Shen Qinyu's suffering? It was not that Shen Qinyu did not want to speak, but that she could not speak at all. Ning Cheng took a step to the side and directly placed Shen Qinyu on his back. The celestial river flame fused with his celestial essence, and his surroundings immediately erupted with crackling sounds. This sound felt as if the celestial river flame's celestial essence had melted the surrounding ice-cold space, giving off a cracking sound. Shen Qinyu felt a burst of warmth radiating from Ning Cheng's back, which quickly drove away the coldness in her body. It felt as if she had found a place to bask in the sun on a cold winter's day. This kind of warmth was something that could not be described with words. At this moment, she finally understood why the Sea of Twilight looked for people with flames to cooperate with. It turned out to be because of this place. This wanderer's celestial essence could actually resist the cold in this place. Maybe he also had a flame. While Shen Qinyu was lost in her thoughts, Ning Cheng's figure had already unfolded and was moving faster and faster. Half a day later, Ning Cheng stopped outside a huge round altar. A transfer array? Shen Qinyu also saw the thing on the round altar and exclaimed in shock. She then spoke with even more certainty, "Yes, that's a transfer array. It must be a transfer array." Ning Cheng nodded, "It's a transfer array. Sure enough, we can teleport out of this place." "Then, should we leave now?" Shen Qinyu asked eagerly. If she had the ability to survive, she might have wanted to search for the glimmer of dawn ice essence in this place to see if the legend was true. However, she was now completely dependent on Wanderer carrying her. Without Wanderer, she would have died a long time ago. After saying that, she seemed to have thought of something and spoke up again, "Senior apprentice brother Wanderer, I'll keep your time stone for you. I'll give it to you after we get out. I'm sure that Striking Order Heavenly Emperor would not notice it." Ning Cheng was just about to speak when a violent force swept over. Like a huge tornado, it swept him up. Ning Cheng, who was caught in this terrifying tornado, unexpectedly did not have even half a shred of resistance. Kacha, a violent rumble resounded from the bottom of his feet, and a several feet wide glacial canyon appeared outside the round altar with the teleportation formation. The violent rotational force directly wrapped around Ning Cheng and pulled him into this glacial canyon. Ning Cheng did not have much time to think about it. Grabbing Shen Qinyu on his back, he stimulated his celestial essence and threw her out. At the same time, he crazily stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. In this place, he had such an experience. It was the same logic when he fell into that deep well. The only difference was that the deep well before was a kind of suction force that pulled him down, but here, it was a kind of whirlpool that pushed him in from the outside. Although Shen Qinyu was thrown out by Ning Cheng, she did not feel any resentment or sense of loss in her heart. On the contrary, her mind flashed with the scene of Wanderer carrying her on his back. Wanderer had carried her on his back as he walked through the depths of the Sea of Twilight for a few years. She had not even had the time to repay his kindness. But then she showed a self-deprecating smile. Everyone was selfish, not to mention that she and Wanderer were not even familiar with each other. This Starry Skies Wanderer was many times better than most of the people she had met in the past. Although in such a desperate situation, she did not blame him for throwing her away. She and this person did not know each other, yet he had already paid enough. Bang! Shen Qinyu's feet landed on the ground. What happened? When Shen Qinyu looked around, she found that she was standing in the center of the teleportation formation, not in the depths of the glacial canyon as she had imagined. At this moment, she understood that Wanderer had not thrown her away casually like she had thought. Instead, he wanted her to enter the teleportation formation first. At this moment, she only needed to take out a few Starry Skies crystals and put them into the groove of the teleportation formation to teleport away. No matter where she teleported to, it would be much better than falling into the unfathomable glacial canyon. Shen Qingyu touched the groove of the teleportation formation in a daze, forgetting to take out the starry sky's crystals. She was an open-minded and rational person. Besides letting a stranger see her face in a situation where she knew she would die, she rarely did anything irrational. Even when she was caught by Ning Qing without wearing any clothes, she did not show any anger on her face. Instead, she calmly asked why. Since birth, she had always done everything in an orderly manner. She would never do something she did not want to do because of impulsiveness. Impulsiveness would never belong to her. But now, Wanderer had thrown her into the teleportation formation after falling into the glacial canyon. At this moment, she felt an additional thing in her heart, that is, impulsiveness. She even wanted to enter the bottom of the valley to see if something had happened to Wanderer. Shen Qingyu carefully walked out of the teleportation formation, and the icy cold assaulted her, causing her to subconsciously shiver once again. However, she quickly felt that the icy cold here was not as horrifying as when she first came in. At least with the circulation of celestial essence, she would be safe and sound. Giving out a slight sigh of relief, Shen Qingyu walked to the edge of the cracked glacial canyon. She could not even see the end of the canyon with her eyes, let alone use her spiritual consciousness to explore it. She could only feel a chill coming from the deepest part of the canyon. Shen Qingyu shuddered. How could one survive falling into such a place? In such a place where one's spiritual consciousness was restricted, not to mention encountering a time wheel, even if there was no danger, one would not be able to climb up, right? After Ning Qing sent Shen Qingyu away, he felt a lot more relaxed. However, in the face of the violent whirlpool that had wrapped around him, he still could not break free. These whirlpools were like a loophole, sucking him from the mouth of the funnel to the bottom. Bang! Not knowing for how long, the powerful whirlpool threw Ning Qing to the ground, causing ice chips to splatter everywhere. The terrifying impact caused Ning Qing to break several of his bones. Fortunately, Ning Qing was a body-forging cultivator. Moreover, he was crazily wielding the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. As such, this kind of injury was not fatal to him. Under the circulation of celestial essence, the broken bones quickly healed. Ning Qing immediately wielded the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, intending to fly out of the glacial canyon that had suddenly cracked open. However, he had just flown out a few feet when the violent whirlpool once again pulled him down. This kind of powerful force was completely different from the one at the bottom of the well. Moreover, the higher he went, the more powerful the whirlpool became. Ning Qing's heart sank. If he could not force his way through this whirlpool, he would never reach the teleportation array. Taking out several medicinal pills to restore celestial essence, Ning Qing once again wielded the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. This time, with the assistance of the medicinal pills, Ning Qing managed to rise a few dozen feet. However, the powerful force of the funnel whirlpool still pulled him down. Looking up at the glacial canyon, Ning Qing could not see the end of it. Ning Qing knew that it would be difficult to get out of this place. This time, he could feel it a lot more clearly. This whirlpool even contained the flow of time, and the higher he went, the more powerful it became. Ning Qing left the place where he fell with some loss. If he wanted to get out, he would have to find another way. As for Shen Qingyu, he had already thrown her into the teleportation array. As such, there should not be any problems. After walking for less than a few hundred meters, his spiritual consciousness swept across a ring. Ning Qing raised his hand and picked up the ring. However, the ring immediately collapsed, and everything inside turned into nothingness. Ning Qing sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt sure that someone else had fallen into this place. However, that person's bones had long since frozen into nothingness by the cold at the bottom of the valley. Moreover, that person's ring had also completely cracked under the cold because of the long time. Ning Qing had only touched it a little, yet the ring had already turned into flying ash. Because of this ring that had turned into nothingness, Ning Qing's heart became even more clouded. Cultivators who could reach this place were definitely not weaklings. Yet, those people ended up getting sucked into this time funnel whirlpool and ended up dying without even turning into ashes. Now that he had fallen in here, Would there still be any chance of survival? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng became even more careful. His spiritual consciousness started to probe around. He once again caught a faint flow of time, which caused Ning Cheng to feel shocked. Was there a time wheel in this place? This canyon looked extremely narrow. If he encountered a time wheel, then he would have no other way but to enter the mysterious yellow bead. However, Ning Cheng soon discovered that it was not a time wheel, but some stones that exuded a faint twilight glow. Unlike the irregular shape of the time stones, these stones were almost the same size. Each one was the size of a baby's fist. But what shocked Ning Cheng even more was the beauty of these stones. It was just like the sunset glow that he and Shin Qinyu had faced in the past. It was simply too beautiful to behold. Ning Cheng rushed to the side of the stones that exuded the twilight glow of time in just a few steps. He then raised his hand and grabbed one of them. The faint sorrow of the passing of time spread to the bottom of his heart. Combined with the twilight glow of the stone, Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh. So beautiful! He had never seen such a beautiful stone before. This stone gave off a sad feeling that reached the bottom of one's heart. It also gave off a feeling of despair in the face of dusk. This kind of beauty was different from other kinds of beauty. It had a hint of twilight. This was the twilight sand. Ning Cheng did not need to ask others to know that this was the twilight sand. Twilight sand was hidden in this place. Even if he and Shin Qinyu stayed in the Sea of Twilight for decades, they most likely would not be able to find the twilight sand. Since the twilight sand had spread out, it meant that someone had come here before. Moreover, that person had also come out. After understanding this, Ning Cheng's heart suddenly shook and his mood turned for the better. If others could come out, then he could also come out. Ning Cheng quickly picked up the dozen or so twilight sands scattered on the frozen ground and carefully put them in a jade box. Whether he would use this thing in the future when crafting a long spear or not, it was still a treasure. The power of the maelstrom, which had weakened by countless times, spread to this place. Ning Cheng looked up and finally understood why there were so many twilight sands in this place. These twilight sands were the result of the power of the time whirlpool. After a long time, it had gathered here. Chapter 549. Regardless of whether this sentence was correct or not, Ning Cheng felt sure that it was the correct sentence for him at this stage. He had already touched the laws of time and comprehended the laws of time countless times. Although he did not have the ability to turn back time, he could stretch or compress it. His consciousness completely immersed in the madly swirling time funnel storm, day by day, month by month, year by year. When this spear of mine reaches the great accomplishment stage, I will be able to reverse the flow of time. At that time, I will call this spear the dusk of the stars. Ning Cheng looked at the raging maelstrom in the distance and spoke with a lofty tone. Shin Qinyu did not know if she could get teleported out after missing the time. However, even if she wanted to come back, she had to bring out the time stones she obtained. Now that she had so many time stones on her, she could not afford to die in this place. Ning Cheng and Shin Qinyu were different. He cultivated the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, which allowed him to cultivate even if he had to dig through the ice steps. However, Ning Cheng did not cultivate. Instead, his spiritual consciousness fell on the raging time vortex storm. Although he was digging through the ice steps, he was thinking about a way to directly pass through the time vortex storm and fly out of it. She wiped her eyes and looked up at the ice steps extending above her head. She knew that she no longer had the ability to dig through the ice steps to the bottom. The time movement artifact in her ring indicated that she had been digging here for several years, which meant that the time wilderness was about to open for 10 years. A few days later, Shin Qinyu once again arrived at the teleportation array. Under her silver hair was a pair of extremely tired eyes. She looked at the unfathomably deep ice valley outside the teleportation array with some sadness in her eyes. She gave a deep sigh before taking out several celestial essence stones and placing them in the groove of the teleportation array. As time slowly passed, Ning Cheng slowly moved upwards. At this moment, a series of countless ice steps had already appeared under his feet. She waited next to the teleportation array for a few days and did not see anyone come up, so she started digging through the ice steps. In just half a year, she dug out hundreds of ice steps. These ice steps piled up one after another above her head and extended upwards like a ladder. Although he could turn back time, he did not have the ability to do so. Even elder brother Tsang Wei did not have the ability to turn back time. He had tried countless methods, but he still couldn't break out of this time vortex storm funnel. He repeatedly drove his twin wings of the heavenly clouds, again and again, over and over again. He even had to use his only knockoff Celestial River battleship. Under this terrifying time maelstrom, the battleship would be completely useless, far inferior to his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. On this day, Ning Cheng suddenly stopped his mechanical action of digging the ice steps. He did not even take out the axe he had placed on the ice steps. Instead, he directly brought out his Nirvana spear and shot it out. If it was just an ordinary team member, she might be a little sad, but she wouldn't be like this. Over the past few years, he had long come into contact with the time law, but he had never been able to perfectly perform his time's sacred art. He had heard from his elder brother Tsang Wei that within the vast void plane, there were countless law worlds, and these law worlds contained a variety of laws. If he encountered a world that contained the laws of time, it was not impossible for him to shift time by countless years. Even if the spear consumed a lot of celestial essence and spiritual consciousness, Ning Cheng still couldn't help but roar out after putting away the spear. In fact, deep in her heart, she had already made a decision. If she dug to the bottom, and that wanderer fell, she would take his body away. Not knowing for how long, Shen Qinyu once again felt her body lighten. She knew that the time limit for the time wilderness had come to an end, and that she had been transferred out. Tsang Wei was right. However, Ning Cheng was wrong. He was wrong because his cultivation was too low. He had not even learned how to walk, yet he was already ready to run. Shen Qinyu only hoped that one day the ice steps she dug could be connected to the ice steps dug by Wanderer. However, she knew very well that after being swept away by the power of the violent maelstrom, it would be extremely difficult to come back up. Even a Celestial River-class battleship would not be able to come up. Any cultivator who entered the time wilderness, if they remained in some mystic realm within the time wilderness during the transfer time, would not be transferred out. A white light flashed, and when Shen Qinyu landed on the ground again, she found that she had appeared on the periphery of the Sea of Twilight. In other words, people who were proficient in the laws of time could even reverse time. When time was compressed to the extreme, it would come to a standstill. Ning Cheng still felt excited in his heart. That's right, it came to a standstill. This standstill did not mean that time had stopped. However, it made all the surrounding senses feel that time had come to a standstill, or infinitely close to a standstill. One after another, ice steps extended under Ning Cheng's feet. At this time, Ning Cheng had already forgotten what he was doing, and even forgot that he wanted to fly out. Although she was a rational person, she was not a cold-blooded person. She did not know if this wanderer's real name was Wanderer or not, but the other party had fallen into this glacial canyon because of her. If one wanted to come out from the canyon, one would have to dig the ice steps. Ning Cheng remembered a movie that he had once watched. In the movie, there was a sentence, "Time is relative, it can be stretched or compressed, but it cannot be reversed." In other words, one could not go back in time. However, she soon became disappointed. The small public square built in the void did not contain the familiar figure she wanted to see. The maelstrom once again began to roll, and the storm hole once again raged. Even breathing could be felt. At this time, Ning Cheng once again appeared at the bottom of the glacial canyon where he had fallen. He had searched the entire canyon, but apart from finding a dozen pieces of twilight sand, he could not find any other exit. If he wanted to get out, there was no other way but to leave through this maelstrom funnel. From now on, this move will be called dusk. Ning Cheng, who had recovered a part of his celestial essence, shook the Nirvana spear in his hand and spoke to himself excitedly. Chi! A faint lightning flashed in the middle of the glacial canyon. After this spear shot out, everything around him seemed to have come to a standstill for a moment. The maelstrom stopped, the storm stopped, and even his breathing stopped. Shen Qinyu's spiritual consciousness immediately swept out. She longed for that familiar wanderer's shadow to suddenly appear in the crowd. At first, he did not think about digging some ice steps like Shen Qinyu did. However, the ice valley in this place was extremely hard. Even after spending an entire day, he still could not dig out a single step. Since she started cultivating from a very young age, she had never been so willful, not even once. But this time, she could not stop herself from digging out an ice step to rescue that wanderer. Shen Qinyu stood on the periphery of the Sea of Twilight and silently looked at the Sea of Twilight in the distance, not moving at all. A few years ago, she teamed up with a wanderer who had rescued her and entered the Sea of Twilight. A few years later, she came out alone. Haha, I understand. Ning Cheng's hands trembled as he held the Nirvana spear, tears streaming down his face. He finally understood, he finally touched the laws of time. After this spear thrust, Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness turned completely empty, and his celestial essence turned into nothingness. At this moment, if he had not clung tightly to the ice steps, he would have already fallen down. This spear had exhausted all of his celestial essence and even the spiritual consciousness within his starry sky's sea of consciousness. It was just like a movie reel. Although it was a series of stills, it made the senses feel as if the character was moving. A month later, Ning Cheng honestly took out the axe that Tang Yu had given him and started to dig one ice step after another. With a sigh, Shen Qinyu left a few lines of words on the ice steps before slowly climbing up. If she missed the opportunity to get out and continue to stay in this place, she would only be waiting for death. Shen Qinyu looked up, but she could no longer see the top of the canyon. Above her head, one by one, were the ice steps dug out. Shen Qinyu knew that this glacial canyon could not be reached by flying. One could only climb up step by step. If one wanted to climb up, there was no other way but to use the ice steps. With this move, the opponent would feel as if they were facing the sunset's twilight. Apart from despair and waiting for death, there was no other way. He finally had the third spear, dusk. Shen Qinyu stopped digging the ice steps. She seemed to have vaguely heard a burst of whistling sounds. Was it that wanderer? However, what she heard was not very clear. She immediately understood that it was just an illusion. Even if she could resist the cold in this place, after digging the ice steps for several years, her body had become extremely weak. His spear just now had clearly illustrated the stillness of time. He had compressed time to the extreme and then blasted out a move that contained the laws of time. This would become his most powerful killing move, and also his greatest trump card. While digging the first ice step, Shen Qinyu still shivered from the cold. She used the method taught by Ning Cheng to dispel the cold, while at the same time using her celestial essence to dig the ice steps. After a month, she unexpectedly adapted to the cold. Although it got colder the further down she went, she managed to resist it. Catcha! The Nirvana spear tore through the space in front of her, leaving behind a faint afterimage. Chapter 550. Yuan Mingshu also looked around. She knew that Ning Cheng had fallen in the perpetual moon lake, but she still hoped that Ning Cheng could come out. In her mind, if not for her, Ning Cheng would not have fallen. He would not have even entered the time mystic realm. Apparently, the miracle did not happen, and Ning Cheng did not come out. Senior apprentice Sister Mingshu, I heard that Ning Cheng teamed up with you. Why don't I see him? A crisp voice asked. Shen Qinyu, who was still feeling sad, heard this sentence. She knew that it was Tang Yu, a genius with a high status in the striking order Starry Skies. Yuan Mingshu gave out a sigh. It's my fault. I invited him to the Perpetual Moon Lake, but the Perpetual Moon Lake's time will shattered. He did not have time to come out. Tang Yu spoke with some regret. That's a pity. He was a good fellow. Shen Qinyu immediately recalled Ning Cheng. It turns out that Ning Cheng had fallen in the Perpetual Moon Lake. No wonder he did not reply to her message. She then thought of Wanderer, a cultivator without a celestial wheel like Ning Cheng. One fell in the Perpetual Moon Lake, while the other fell in the Sea of Twilight. Striking Order Heavenly Emperor's figure turned from blurry to clear. Although only half of the cultivators came out, he still felt satisfied. He glanced at the cultivators on the void public square and spoke in a slow voice. Welcome back to our Striking Order Starry Skies Genius Trial. Those who can stand here today are the geniuses of my striking order starry skies. You will be the future of my striking order starry skies and the pride of my striking order starry skies. My striking order starry skies will select a batch of outstanding geniuses to reward them. There is no limit to the number of winners. As long as you obtain a time stone, you will receive a reward from my striking order starry skies. The top 10 can represent my striking order starry skies to the grand culmination starry skies and participate in the upcoming Starry Skies Universe's Celestial Scryer Genius Finals. Every cultivator who obtained a time stone immediately came forward to hand over the time stones. No one dared to hide their time stones. Even if someone wanted to hide their time stones, when the sharp spiritual consciousness fell on them, they would quickly come forward and hand over their time stones. Although many cultivators entered the time wilderness, only a few managed to obtain time stones. Shen Qinyu did not hand over her time stones. Instead, she came out to take these time stones back. In just an hour, all the cultivators with time stones in their possession were tabulated. A total of 31 cultivators managed to obtain time stones, including several cultivators who only managed to obtain a few rice grain-sized time stones. A heaven-seated cultivator stood in the void and read aloud, "First place goes to Bright South Celestial River's Fei, who obtained 4 time stones. Second place goes to Striking Order Starland's Si Ko Hao, who obtained 3 time stones. Third place goes to Striking Order Starland's Tang Yu, who obtained 3 time stones." Looking at the time stones obtained by the top 10, whether it was in terms of size or quantity, Shen Qinyu could not help but give out a sigh. Ning Cheng didn't continue digging the ice steps. After comprehending the laws of time-related spirit technique, dusk, he sat still and continued to comprehend the essence of this spear. The more he comprehended, the more he understood that if he didn't have the starry sky sea of consciousness, even if he touched the surface of the laws of time, he wouldn't be able to bring out the dusk spear. The starry sky sea of consciousness was simply too powerful. Within the sea of twilight, one couldn't release one's spiritual consciousness. However, he could not only release it, but it could also reach a distance of 100 miles. Shen Qinyu originally couldn't release her spiritual consciousness. However, because he carried her on his back, she managed to comprehend his epiphany, allowing her to extend her spiritual consciousness to a distance of about 10 feet. Thinking of Shen Qinyu, Ning Cheng couldn't help but think of her perfect naked body and that beautiful face. Previously, when he had just comprehended the true meaning of dusk, Shen Qinyu's beauty had forcibly faded away under his shocking insights. Now that his third spear move had taken shape, he couldn't help but feel a little hot in his heart when he thought of that perfect body. Ning Cheng shook his head and forcibly put these thoughts aside before returning to the spear. After a long time, when Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness and celestial essence fully recovered, he once again brought out the Nirvana spear and shot out with it. This time, he felt the stillness around him even more clearly. No, it should be said that after he brought out the spear, everything around him turned still. At this moment, there was no sound, no movement, no breathing. Suddenly, Ning Cheng saw a drop of crystal-clear liquid in the still time vortex funnel. It seemed to be the condensation of all life, exuding a strong vitality and a faint glow of dawn. Within the time vortex storm, Ning Cheng unexpectedly saw a drop of something exuding a life force, which surprised Ning Cheng. The state he had entered a moment ago instantly disappeared. Ning Cheng could not fully display the dusk spirit technique before it dissipated. Ning Cheng did not feel any frustration because he failed to bring out the dusk spirit technique for the second time. Instead, he started to think about that drop of water that exuded a strong vitality. What was it? Or was it some kind of treasure? Because he had brought out the dusk spirit technique for the second time and failed midway, he did not lose too much of his celestial essence. After a short rest, Ning Cheng brought out the Nirvana spear for the third time. This time, Ning Cheng was prepared. The moment everything around him came to a standstill, he raised his hand and gathered the droplet of water that looked like the morning glow and put it into a jade bottle in his hand. A faint fragrance exuded from this droplet of water, mixed with powerful fluctuations of vitality. At the same time, An icy chill permeated out from this droplet of water. In addition to the vitality, the icy chill and the fragrance, this droplet of water also exuded a rich aura of dawn. It felt as if one was facing the rising sun, full of vitality. Ningcheng just felt this rich aura of vitality and felt that a part of his lost lifespan had returned. This is the glimmer of dawn ice essence, Ningcheng understood in an instant, causing him to feel pleasantly surprised. At this moment he felt extremely grateful towards Shen Qinyu. If not for Shen Qinyu, he would not have known about the twilight sand or the glimmer of dawn ice essence. He did not know if Shen Qinyu had taken the transfer array or not, but if she did, then he would definitely send her a drop of the glimmer of dawn ice essence in the future as a token of gratitude. After carefully placing a restriction on the jade bottle, Ningcheng began to gather his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness and continuously cast the dusk spirit technique. Then, he started to collect the glimmer of dawn ice essence from the still time vortex storm. No wonder Shen Qinyu said that this thing only existed in legends. If not for his superficial understanding of the laws of time and his dusk spirit technique, even if he knew about the existence of the glimmer of dawn ice essence in this time vortex storm, he would not have been able to obtain it. However, since this kind of thing had spread out, it meant that someone had obtained it through the laws of time. A month later, no matter how Ningcheng cast the dusk spirit technique, he could no longer find the glimmer of dawn ice essence from the time vortex storm. Ningcheng didn't know if he had collected all the glimmer of dawn ice essence or if his cultivation only allowed him to see this much. But for Ningcheng, he felt very satisfied. In just 1 month he obtained 9 drops of glimmer of dawn ice essence. After carefully putting the 9 drops of glimmer of dawn ice essence into the jade bottle and sealing it with a restriction, Ningcheng continued to dig the ice steps. He was not in a hurry to restore his skin and hair. For him, his current appearance was the best mask-type weapon. Because of his superficial understanding of the laws of time, Ningcheng's speed of digging the ice steps in the Time Glacier Canyon rapidly increased. In just 1 month, Ningcheng felt that he had escaped from the range of the time vortex storm. When he could no longer feel the surrounding time vortex storm, Ningcheng gave out a long sigh. Could he finally use the twin wings of the heavenly clouds? Ningcheng looked up and was just about to wield the twin wings of the heavenly clouds when he was shocked to find that one ice step after another had appeared above his head. These ice steps were similar to the ice steps he had dug before, but from the top to the bottom. Who dug these ice steps? Was it Shen Qinyu? Ningcheng quickly understood that these were indeed the ice steps dug by Shen Qinyu. His divine sense clearly saw that there was a line of words next to the ice step closest to him. Qing spent several years digging 7,542 ice steps in hopes of finding Brother Wanderer. However, 10 years have passed, and Qing returned in disappointment and frustration. Qing hereby swears that I will come back to this place again in my lifetime and take away Elder Brother Wanderer, regardless of life or death. Ningcheng felt a warm feeling in his heart. This Qing should be Shen Qinyu. Since Shen Qinyu had disguised herself as a cultivator from the Orchid Burrow's celestial river to enter the time wilderness, she most likely would not use her real name. However, after he sent her to the transfer array, not only did she not try to escape, but instead spent several years digging ice steps to find him. Shen Qinyu digging ice steps in this place was different from him. Although he had the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to save him, Shen Qinyu had no chance of survival in this place once she fell. One could say that Shen Qinyu had spent the past few years digging ice steps for him on the edge of life and death. Although she looked very rational, she was actually an impulsive woman. Ningcheng did not think that Shen Qinyu was a rational person. Shen Qinyu had been with him for a few years, and no matter how many times she was offended, she always maintained a calm tone and a plain expression, never once hysterical. However, this woman actually spent several years, risking the danger of falling to her death at any time, to dig ice steps in this time ice valley to save him. If this was not impulsive, then what was? Ningcheng knew that Shen Qinyu would not be able to return to this place no matter how much she vowed. With Shen Qinyu's cultivation, she would definitely advance to the Celestial Bridge realm after returning. If Celestial Bridge cultivators could enter the time wilderness, then why didn't any Celestial Bridge cultivators come this time? Shen Qinyu definitely did not think of this. Thinking of this, Ning Qing gave up on the idea of flying up and sped up his hands. In just a short time, he dug out more than a dozen ice steps and connected them to Shen Qinyu's ice steps. Ning Qing took out a sword artifact and added a sentence to Shen Qinyu's message. "Thank you for the ice steps, it saved me a few years of time. I have already dug out the rest of the path. From now on, this path will be known as the Ladder of Life. Maybe one day, someone will be able to set foot on the ice steps we dug, wanderers. By the way, you look really beautiful without clothes. That's all, I'll have to pay my respects." Although trapped for several years, Ning Qing had obtained twilight sand and glimmers of dawn ice essence. Most importantly, he had comprehended the dusk spiritual technique, which made him feel very happy. Feeling happy, coupled with knowing that Shen Qinyu would not come here again, his message turned into a mess. Chapter 551. Once again standing outside the round altar's teleportation array, Ning Qing sighed in his heart. He did not expect that once he fell, it would take him a few years to climb back up. Ning Qing guessed that 10 years should have passed by now. Most likely he was still inside the Sea of Twilight. Regardless of whether he would be teleported out or not, Ning Qing did not want to stay in this damned place. Taking off his Dao artifact mask, Ning Qing gave out a sigh. He did not need to wear a mask at all. Instead, he looked like an old man. If not for an acquaintance, most people would not have thought that he was Ning Qing even if they saw him. After changing his aura, Ning Qing carefully placed the miniature world ring into the 5 elements array formation inside the mysterious yellow bead before stepping onto the teleportation array. With a flash of spatial light, Ning Qing landed on the periphery of the Sea of Twilight. Ning Qing had just breathed a sigh of relief, but before he could check his surroundings, another flash of white light appeared. When his feet touched the ground, he found himself in the middle of a starry sky. There was not a single person around. Ning Qing took a glance and realized that this was the place where he had entered the time wilderness. He did not expect that he would still be teleported out despite the delay. Ning Qing did not stay in this place for long. He quickly brought out his Celestial River battleship and left at the fastest speed. A few days later, Ning Qing once again entered Striking Order Starland and arrived at Lucky Heaven City. The reason why he came here again was to go to Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Compared to 10 years ago, Lucky Heaven City seemed to have a lot fewer people. Ning Qing, an old celestial shatter cultivator, would not attract any attention in this place. Ning Qing did not look for a rest stop and went directly to Lucky Heaven City's Striking Order Starry Skies Trade Union. "Friend, do you want to inquire about information, or do you want to team up and make a fortune? Or is it something else? I can help you with it." Ning Qing had not yet entered the trade union when a small voice fell into his ears. Ning Qing's gaze swept over and saw a very unremarkable celestial novice middle-aged man sitting not far from the wall. The celestial novice middle-aged man saw Ning Qing's gaze sweeping over and waved his hand, indicating that he was the one who sent the voice. Ning Qing walked over. Lucky Heaven City was a safe place, and there was absolutely no chance of a sneak attack. Moreover, the other party was just a celestial novice cultivator, which he did not care about. Ning Qing understood the words spoken by this middle-aged celestial novice cultivator. This was equivalent to a black intermediary, fishing for some business outside the guild and surviving in the cracks. However, Ning Qing did not care about it. He wanted to go to Grand Culmination Starry Skies, so it would not be a good idea to inquire about information through the guild. It's just that he did not know many people here. This celestial novice cultivator, on seeing Ning Qing come over, felt even more happy and was about to stand up. Ning Qing waved his hand, not waiting for him to stand up. He took the initiative to sit down not far from him and asked, "What you just said, can you do it here?" The middle-aged man immediately affirmed, "Of course. Moreover, our fees here are more reasonable than the guild's, and the duration is shorter. Do you know that you have to ask a question to enter the guild and ask the guild to do something for you? Other than waiting, what else can you do?" That's right, the amount of star coins he received was quite a lot. "Friend, we are much more reliable than the guild." Ning Qing asked in a non-committal manner, "Do Do you know what happened after the time wilderness ended? Because I just arrived at Lucky Heaven City, I haven't had the time to inquire about a lot of information, so I'm preparing to go to the guild. The middle-aged man showed a smile and did not answer Ning Cheng's question. Instead, he asked, "Did you go to the guild just to inquire about this information?" Ning Cheng understood the meaning of the other party and took out 200 green coins and put it in the man's hand without answering his question. The middle-aged man initially thought that Ning Cheng would not be able to get much profit out of it. He did not expect that Ning Cheng would give him 200 green coins just for asking a question. He did not hesitate to put away the 200 green coins and carefully spoke. The time wilderness trial ended more than a month ago, and the Heavenly Emperor selected the top 10 to enter the grand culmination Starry Skies for the finals. The top 10 are... Ning Cheng stopped the middle-aged man and asked, "When will they leave? How do they leave?" "Naturally, they will take a Starry Sky class battleship. I heard that they would have to pass through the void of several interfaces to reach the grand culmination Starry Skies, which is not a simple matter. This time, many people are going to the grand culmination Starry Skies. In addition to the many merchants and celestial river kings, I heard that our Heavenly Emperor will also be going in person. As for when they will leave, I don't know yet." The middle-aged man answered in a very detailed manner. Ning Cheng sighed. "I wanted to go to the grand culmination Starry Skies, but it looks like it would be difficult to get a ticket." "What? You want to go to the grand culmination Starry Skies?" The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator felt shocked by Ning Cheng's words. It did not matter. It would not be easy for a celestial shatter cultivator to go to the grand culmination Starry Skies. "That's right, I want to go to the grand culmination Starry Skies. That's why I want to go to the guild. Can you do it? Therefore, even if you called me here, it would be useless." Ning Cheng spoke and stood up. The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator quickly stood up and spoke through clenched teeth. "Senior, if you really want to go to the grand culmination Starry Skies, we do have a way. It's just that I need to report it, and the price might not be low. Moreover, you need to pay me 100,000 green coins as a reporting fee in advance. If you don't believe me, you can come with me." Feeling that Ning Cheng was not an ordinary celestial shatter cultivator, this celestial novice cultivator's tone turned respectful. Ning Cheng waved his hand and directly placed a stack of green coins in the hands of the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator. "This is 100,000 green coins. As long as you can help me get a ticket to the grand culmination Starry Skies, what are some celestial coins? Even if you lie to me, I have a way to pull you out." The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator excitedly grabbed the 100,000 green coins. Ning Cheng's generosity was beyond his expectations. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to say anything else, he patted his chest and guaranteed, "Senior, you can rest assured that I will definitely give you an answer within 3 days. This is my communication talisman. If there is any news, I will send a message to Senior." "Okay, then I will wait for you for 3 days. If you can send me a message within 3 days, then we will meet here." After Ning Cheng finished, he did not wait for the celestial novice cultivator to answer and turned around to leave, leaving behind the excited celestial novice cultivator. Ning Cheng had not gone far when he felt a spiritual consciousness staring at him. Moreover, this spiritual consciousness was also repeatedly probing him, which made Ning Cheng feel very puzzled in his heart. He had 2 enemies in the Lucky Heaven City, but whether it was Zhao Yanxiang or Lu Pingchuan, it was impossible for them to recognize him. Besides, he had fallen in the perpetual moon lake, which Zhao Yanxiang had personally witnessed. Since Zhao Yanxiang knew about it, then Lu Pingchuan definitely knew about it as well. If that was the case, then who would have any killing intent towards him? Ning Cheng did not use his spiritual consciousness to sweep back. His strength was still too low, and he did not want to alert the enemy in Lucky Heaven City. Just as Ning Cheng was anxiously trying to think of a way, a figure quickly rushed in front of him, while a crisp voice emerged, "Wait." At this moment, Ning Cheng immediately recognized who this person was. It was the woman named Yuan. This woman's cousin, her dual cultivation Dao companion, Yifeng, had died at his hands. When this woman escaped, Shen Qingyu had explained to him that the Yu clan was very powerful in the Tao of talismans and would not let him go so easily. Ning Cheng did not expect this woman to come to his door so quickly, however, he did not know how she recognized him. In any case, Ning Cheng did not want to meet this woman. He quickly circled around her and quickened his pace. "You stop." Seeing Ning Cheng ignoring her, Yuan shouted out even louder and sped up to catch up with him. Ning Cheng secretly cursed at his bad luck. He had just come out when he encountered such a thing. Once he started fighting with this woman, even people who were not familiar with him might recognize him as Ning Cheng. He had clearly died in the perpetual moon lake, yet now he appeared in Lucky Heaven City. It would be strange if he did not have any secrets on him. As a cultivator who came out a month or two late, Heavenly Emperor Manlun would definitely talk to him alone. Seeing Yuan chasing after him, Ning Cheng knew that today's matter would not end well. He guessed that Yuan did not recognize him at first, but Ning Cheng knew that since the other party already suspected him, not recognizing him would not make any difference. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to rush out of Lucky Heaven City. Since there was no way to settle this peacefully, then he would silence her. Ning Cheng had his own principles, however, no matter who wanted his life, he would not hesitate to fight back. Seeing Ning Cheng leave the city, Yuan raised her hand and sent out a message before following him out. After Ning Cheng left Lucky Heaven City, he directly brought out the Celestial River battleship. If this woman dared to chase after him alone, then she could not blame him for being impolite. Yuan did not continue to chase after Ning Cheng. She did not dare to chase after Ning Cheng alone. In just a few breaths, a gray shadow landed beside Yuan. "Big brother Huangfu, why are you alone? Where's Uncle Shang?" Yuan asked anxiously when she saw the man wearing a gray cultivator's robe. The cultivator smiled. "I saw Sister Wan's urgent message and thought that something bad had happened, so I rushed over." "What happened? Why did you ask Uncle Shang to come over?" Yuan spoke up anxiously. "Big brother Huangfu, I just saw a white-haired cultivator. His back and hair look very similar to that beast in the Time Wilderness." "Is that the fellow who killed Yifeng?" The male cultivator, addressed as Big Brother Huangfu by Yuan, asked anxiously with a change in expression. Yuan quickly spoke up. "I suspect that the person just now was him. Otherwise, he would not have run away the moment he saw me." "Then what are we waiting for? Let's catch up and kill him." The male cultivator raised his hand and brought out a Celestial River-class battleship. However, the grade of this battleship was much better than Ning Cheng's. Yuan spoke up anxiously, "But there are only two of us." "Huh." The male cultivator laughed. "Didn't you say that he only had a Celestial Shatterer cultivation last time? A Celestial Shatterer cultivation is not something that I, Yu Huangfu, would put in my eyes." Yuan felt anxious about Ning Cheng's escape. Thinking of the fact that Big Brother Huangfu was Yu Clan's Celestial Scryer Premier Genius, someone many times stronger than Yu Yifeng, she nodded and spoke. "Okay, then let's hurry over." It was no wonder that Yu Huangfu dared to speak such words. With his half-step Celestial Bridge cultivation, he could be considered as the premier person under the Celestial River realm. He was the most important target of cultivation for the Yu clan. He did not even put Striking Order Starry Sky's Premier Genius, Sun Fei, in his eyes. In his opinion, Ning Cheng only had a trivial Celestial Shatterer cultivation. He did not even need to use his full strength to kill him. Chapter 552. After half a day, Ning Cheng finally stopped. He could see that even if he continued to use the Celestial River-class battleship, he would not be able to escape. The quality of the battleship chasing after him was much better than his own. Secondly, he wanted to see if he could kill the person chasing after him. If he could, he would not hesitate. If he really couldn't kill it, then he would immediately leave Striking Order Starland and go to another Celestial River. Ning Cheng had heard from Shen Qingyu that the Yu clan was a talisman aristocratic family, which enjoyed the support of Striking Order Heavenly Emperor in the Striking Order Starland. Once he was exposed, staying here wouldn't do him any good. For such a famous Starry Sky family, he would try his best not to provoke them. "No wonder you dared to kill my Yu clan's people. You really have guts." Yu Huangfu did not expect that Ning Cheng would dare to stop and wait for him. Moreover, Ning Cheng truly was just a celestial shatter cultivator. Ning Cheng looked at Yu Huangfu putting away the celestial river-class battleship and spoke up with a calm tone. Is your Yu clan that great? However, your celestial river-class battleship looks good. It doesn't look like a knockoff. Although he did not care about it on the surface, Ning Cheng's mind was firmly locked onto Yu Huangfu. Yu Huangfu was tall and slender, even taller than him. His eyes were filled with disdain and killing intent. With the cultivation of full-circle celestial gatherer realm, the celestial wheels seemed to be showing signs of fusing, indicating that he should be a half-step into the celestial bridge realm. If it was before entering the Sea of Twilight, Ning Cheng felt sure that he would not be a match for Yu Huangfu. At this time, he would have to run as far as he could. Now that he had comprehended the Dusk Spirit technique, and his domain had merged with the Celestial River, he no longer felt afraid of Yu Huangfu. As for Yu Wan, Ning Cheng simply did not put her in his eyes. Not bad. Unfortunately, you can only look at it once. That's because you've met me, Yu Huangfu. Yu Huangfu sneered, then gave Yu Wan a meaningful glance. He wanted Yu Wan to help him block Ning Cheng's escape route. As he spoke the last word, Yu Huangfu's imposing aura suddenly rose up, just like a huge millstone crushing down on Ning Cheng. The surrounding space formed a vortex under this imposing aura, while Ning Cheng found himself at the center of this vortex. Just as this maelstrom's imposing aura crushed down on Ning Cheng, two more silver-colored talismans appeared in Yu Huangfu's hands. It was the first time for Ning Cheng to see someone using a talisman as a magical weapon. Other people's talismans were disposable, or something that could only be used once. However, this Yu family cultivator had actually refined his own magic treasure into the shape of a talisman. Ning Cheng was sure that the talisman in his hands was not a one-time use item, but a real magical weapon. With the pressure of the imposing aura from the whirlpool, Ning Cheng even found it difficult to breathe. What a powerful celestial gatherer cultivator! Ning Cheng felt sure that this was the most powerful celestial gatherer cultivator he had ever seen. Moreover, the aura of this violent whirlpool domain had allowed the opponent to occupy a superior position as soon as he arrived. Ning Cheng secretly felt shocked in his heart. The vast starry skies truly were filled with powerhouses. In the past, he wouldn't have been able to resist such a maelstrom domain. Sure enough, one had to meet all kinds of experts to see all kinds of killer moves. Just as Yu Huangfu's maelstrom domain crazily rolled up, Ning Cheng's celestial river fusion domain also fully stretched out at this moment. Although his cultivation wasn't as high as Yu Huangfu's, his sea of consciousness was many times stronger than Yu Huangfu's. When Yu Huangfu's maelstrom domain first stretched out, it gave off a crushing, imposing aura. However, after Ning Cheng's celestial river domain stretched out, his domain immediately slowed down. Even the crazily rotating, imposing aura of the maelstrom domain ended up suppressed. Bursts of sounds erupted from the imposing aura of the maelstrom domain, just like dry bamboo thrown into a bonfire. Yu Huangfu's imposing aura rose once again, and he spoke with an ice-cold tone. No wonder you're so arrogant. You even have such a powerful domain. Even if your domain is more powerful, so what if you met me, Yu Huangfu? Die for me. As he spoke, the talisman weapon in his hand transformed into two rays of light. One of the rays of light erupted with a thunderous explosion, as if it had exploded from the bottom of one's heart. In an instant, endless lightning arcs came crashing down. These lightning arcs seemed to have eyes and shot towards Ning Cheng without wasting even the slightest bit of them. The other ray of light transformed into a pale blue light not much bigger than an embroidery needle. This pale blue light, mixed with the endless lightning arcs, stabbed towards Ning Cheng. If it were a cultivator with a weaker spiritual consciousness, they would not be able to detect it at all. If the endless lightning arcs had to tear apart Ning Cheng's celestial river domain to pose a threat to Ning Cheng, then this embroidery needle mixed with the lightning arcs did not show even half a shred of resistance. It directly broke through Ning Cheng's celestial river domain and stabbed towards Ning Cheng's dantian. Want to sneak up on me? Dream on. Ning Cheng laughed. He opened his hand, and the treasured thunder spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, he shot out a spear. Ning Cheng's spear did not care about the endless lightning arcs but directly shot towards the embroidery needle formed from the talisman. Yu Huangfu's face turned ugly. He was a half-step celestial bridge cultivator. Did he need to sneak up on a celestial shatter cultivator to kill a celestial shatter cultivator? The offensive form of his talisman could transform into an embroidery needle, which had nothing to do with sneak attacks. When the treasured thunder spear had just stabbed out, it seemed to contain lightning arcs lingering around it. However, after the spear shot out, it turned into a fiery pattern that was invisible to the naked eye. These fiery patterns seemed to be able to burn through the surrounding space, while the murderous intent of the spear grew stronger and stronger. Boom! The treasured thunder spear split apart the imposing aura of Yu Huangfu's maelstrom domain and directly collided with the embroidery needle formed from his talisman artifact, causing bursts of fiery patterns to erupt. The space, which originally contained only lightning arcs, instantly filled with these fiery patterns, looking just like fireworks blooming in the sky. Ning Cheng's nothingness flame pattern spear blasted away the embroidery needle, but the fiery patterns of the nothingness flame pattern spear still did not disappear. Instead, it directly broke through the two people's domains and shot towards Yuan. Yuan hurriedly brought out a shield to block it. Even so, she still ended up in a sorry state. Yu Huangfu stared at Ning Cheng in shock. He was not shocked that Ning Cheng's spear broke his talisman phantom, nor that Ning Cheng's powerful celestial river domain blocked his maelstrom's killing power. He was not shocked that Ning Cheng's nothingness flame pattern spear was even more powerful than his talisman phantom. What shocked him was that Ning Cheng did not care about the other talisman that shot out endless lightning arcs. What was going on here? Was he courting death? Even a cultivator in the celestial bridge realm would not dare to ignore such a terrifying lightning arc attack. Whether Ning Cheng was courting death or not, he quickly understood. Although the endless lightning arcs bombarded Ning Cheng's body, Ning Cheng not only did not die, but instead gave a loud roar, causing his imposing aura to soar once again. At the same time, the treasured thunder spear in his hand started to glow with lightning. Your main spiritual root turns out to be a thunder spiritual root. Yu Huangfu cried out in shock. Cultivators with thunder spiritual roots were always in short supply, and it was even easier for them to enter a sect. Moreover, once a cultivator with such a spiritual root reached a certain level of cultivation, their strength would turn out to be much stronger compared to cultivators with other spiritual roots. Ning Cheng, in the face of his illusionary thunder talisman artifact, remained indifferent. Apart from his slightly messy hair and robes, he could even raise his imposing aura. Apparently, he was a fellow with a thunder spiritual root. Sister Wan, let's go together. Yu Huangfu no longer dared to look down on Ning Cheng. After saying that, he raised his hand, and a huge rusty copper coin suspended over his head. Ning Cheng instantly caught a familiar aura, causing Ning Cheng to stare at the rusty copper coin with wide eyes. Suddenly, he screamed out, 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? Yu Huangfu laughed. You're not blind. You can even recognize that this is the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. Ning Cheng felt cold all over and could not even speak. At this moment, he felt as if he had been nailed to the ground. He had given the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin to his wife, Shi Qianghua. How could it appear here? But after Yuan heard Yu Huangfu's words, she immediately brought out a sword artifact in her hand. She knew that her cultivation was far from Ning Cheng's, and she did not expect to kill Ning Cheng. She just wanted to interfere with Ning Cheng and help Yu Huangfu. Poof! What shocked Yuan the most was that her sword artifact actually tore through Ning Cheng's celestial river domain and directly pierced through Ning Cheng's shoulder. Yuan looked at the result of her battle in surprise. She had never thought that her sword would have such an effect. If she had known about it earlier, she would have directly pierced through Ning Cheng's glabella. Yu Huangfu also did not expect that Yuan would be able to injure Ning Cheng with just one move, causing him to feel equally happy in his heart. No matter what happened, now was the best time to kill Ning Cheng. At this moment, Ning Cheng's imposing aura suddenly skyrocketed. He once again gave out a tearing roar, while the treasured thunder spear in his hand turned into an invisible spear mark. This spear mark seemed to have come from the distant horizon, but it directly tore through the horizon and the space in front of him. There was simply no way to resist it. The powerful murderous aura of the spear intent completely bound Yuan. Yuan could not even move a muscle. She could only look at the spear shadow approaching from afar in horror. "Save me!" Yuan screamed out. However, she could not even utter a single sound. The power of this spear had swept up all the killing power from the horizon to the front. This killing power had long since suppressed her mind. Poof! A mist of blood spurted out. Yuan looked at the shocked Yu Huangfu not far away in despair before collapsing to the ground. Yu Huangfu truly felt shocked. He had felt a powerful killing intent from Ning Cheng's spear that had killed Yuan, something he had never seen before. He had also felt a terrifying killing power from the spear intent. When that spear had blasted out, he had actually wanted to escape in a crazed manner. It was not until the spear had killed Yuan that this thought of his weakened. Such a powerful spear intent. Yu Huangfu stared at Ning Cheng in shock. He no longer had that sense of superiority that he had a moment ago. "Speak, where did you get the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? If you don't explain it clearly, I will make sure that not even an ant remains of your Yu clan remains." Ning Cheng completely ignored the sword piercing through his body and walked towards Yu Huangfu step by step. His voice was hoarse, and even his eyes had turned blood red. Yu Huangfu subconsciously took a few steps back and was just about to answer when he understood why he should answer. The other party was just a celestial shatterer cultivator, while he had the treasure fall copper coin and an endless supply of talismans. Why should he fear him? Chapter 553. As Ning Cheng approached step by step, the powerful killing intent rolled over. The imposing maelstrom around Yu Huangfu began to suppress Ning Cheng's domain. Yu Huangfu could no longer stand the violent aura and brought out the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. Another handful of talismans were thrown out, and the surroundings were instantly filled with countless talismans that were on the verge of exploding. The 5 elements treasure fall copper coin turned into a huge coin with a square hole several feet in radius and came crashing down. At the same time, his 2 talisman weapons turned into 2 sharp blades that cut through Ning Cheng's celestial river domain. Ning Cheng completely ignored the violent 3-dimensional attack. His eyes filled with hostility at this moment, and he even threw away the treasured thunder spear in his hand. Yu Huangfu looked at Ning Cheng's actions in shock. He did not know what Ning Cheng wanted to do. Even a celestial bridge expert could not ignore such an attack. However, this celestial shatter cultivator in front of him not only did not resist with all his strength, but instead threw away the weapon in his hand. What did this mean? If the other party wanted to escape, it was even more unlikely. Cultivators who wanted to escape would never approach him step by step with bloodshot eyes, nor would they abandon their magic treasures. However, no matter what this celestial shatter cultivator wanted to do, facing such an attack, he would die without a doubt. If he resisted such an attack, he might have a chance to survive. However, this crazy fellow even forgot to resist. If not courting death, then what was it? Yu Huangfu had just thought of this when he saw Ning Cheng clenching his fists and punching out. Yu Huangfu felt ecstatic in his heart. This fellow had truly gone mad. He felt sure that by the time Ning Cheng punched out, he would have already killed Ning Cheng countless times over. Not to mention anything else, just the sharp blades formed from his talismans would have already severely injured Ning Cheng. Coupled with so many talismans, it would be strange if Ning Cheng did not die. Although he did not enjoy torturing the other party, he did not care about it anymore. This celestial shatter cultivator gave him a terrifying feeling. He would rather fight against a celestial bridge cultivator and then escape than fight against this celestial shatter cultivator in front of him. Poof! Not contrary to Yu Huangfu's expectations, the sharp blades formed from his talismans directly cut through Ning Cheng's arm, instantly cutting off one of Ning Cheng's arms. Even so, Ning Cheng was still not aware of it. Seeing that the second talisman had turned into a sharp blade and was about to cut Ning Cheng in half, Yu Huangfu's eyes flashed with a trace of ferocity. This fellow had unexpectedly turned crazy while fighting with him. Otherwise, it would have been somewhat troublesome to deal with this celestial shatter cultivator. At this time, Yu Huangfu suddenly saw Ning Cheng's fist explode into his dantian. What's going on? Why hadn't the other party been killed by his shape-shifting talisman? Something's not right. Why is everything still? His 5 elemental treasure fall copper coins stopped moving. The endless talismans also stopped moving. Some of the talismans even cracked in half. His second talisman blade that was about to reach his opponent's waist also stopped moving. Even his breathing stopped. What was going on? No, there were still 2 things that had not stopped. His consciousness had not stopped, and his opponent's fist had not stopped. Laws of time. Yu Huangfu instantly understood what was going on. He screamed madly in his heart, and his eyes revealed extreme fear. For a celestial shatter cultivator to touch the surface of the laws of time, what did it mean? Crazy, this world had gone crazy. No, this was definitely not true. This was definitely a dream. The laws of time, even among the powerhouses in the eternal realm, he had never heard of anyone who could touch the laws of time. Yu Huangfu screamed crazily, however his voice was completely still. He could not even utter a single word. Bang! Ning Cheng's fist slammed into Yu Huangfu's dantian. However, it did not blow Yu Huangfu into pieces, nor did it blow Yu Huangfu away. There was only one bang, before everything came to life again. However, the shape-shifting talisman blade that was about to reach Ning Cheng's waist instantly reverted to a talisman weapon and fell to the ground. The 5 elemental treasure fall copper coin, which was still hovering in the air, also fell powerlessly to the ground. Yu Huangfu also heard a burst of subtle noises. His eyes suddenly turned as gloomy as dead ashes. He heard the sound of his dantian shattering, followed by the sound of his meridians breaking apart one after another. Then, he heard the sound of his sea of consciousness collapsing. It's over. His entire life is over. Even if his dantian disappeared, it could still be restored. Even if his meridians broke, it could still be repaired. But if his sea of consciousness disappeared, then he would truly have nothing left. I'm going to kill you. Yu Huangfu screamed out before slumping to the ground. Boom, 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 boom. Only at this moment did the half-activated talismans explode. Ning Cheng stood motionless amidst the exploding talismans. He let the violent talismans tear apart his messy white hair and robes into nothingness. He let the exploding talismans shoot out blade lights that brought out a bloody mist over his body. Even the most violent explosion of talismans would eventually pass. Yu Huangfu sat on the ground and looked at Ning Cheng, who stood motionless amidst the exploding talismans in horror. After the other party shattered his meridians, dantian, and sea of consciousness with a single punch, he could have easily avoided these talismans. However, he actually let these talismans explode on his body without moving. If it were an ordinary celestial shatter cultivator, even if only a small portion of these talismans exploded, they would have already died. However, apart from the severe physical injuries, he did not show any abnormalities. This person not only had a superficial understanding of the laws of time at the celestial shatter realm, but he also turned out to be a body-forging cultivator with a god body. Heavens, how could such a terrifying cultivator exist within the striking order starry skies? Where the hell did this person come from? Ning Cheng completely ignored the fact that one of his arms had already been cut off, as he slowly walked towards Yu Huangfu, who was sitting paralyzed on the ground, and spoke one word at a time. Where did you get your 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? Speak. Dream on, this Grandpa Huangfu, even if I die, I would never tell trash like you about it. Just give up. Yu Huangfu screamed. He was already crippled, what else did he have to fear? Ning Cheng did not ask anymore and raised his hand and placed it on Yu Huangfu's glabella. Ning Cheng had never searched the soul, but he had experienced several battles with people's sea of consciousness. With his powerful starry skies sea of consciousness, even if he had never done such a thing, it was still much more powerful than the average cultivator. You will die a horrible death. Yu Huangfu screamed in madness. He quickly understood Ning Cheng's meaning. Ning Cheng held his life essence in his hand and repeatedly searched it. If Ning Cheng was proficient in soul-searching, then it would have been fine. However, the other party was not proficient in soul-searching, which caused his life essence to scatter, causing him endless pain. I beg you, don't search, I'll tell you everything. Yu Huangfu finally couldn't help but beg for mercy. This kind of terrible pain, he simply could not bear it. It was the same as burning one's soul. The other party's powerful spiritual consciousness also contained a terrifying soul flame. However, Ning Cheng acted as if he did not hear Yu Huangfu's screams and continued to tear apart Yu Huangfu's life essence. Yu Huangfu's begging voice grew softer and softer before finally dissipating. The moment Ning Cheng loosened his hand, Yu Huangfu fell to the ground, his spiritual soul extinguished. Ning Cheng stood in front of Yu Huangfu's corpse, trembling. Yu Huangfu, the premier genius of Bright South Celestial River's Dai Yuan Stars Yu Clan. Yu Clan was a talisman clan within Striking Order Starry Skies and had a very high status. More than a decade ago, a cultivator named Yu Yangji came to Dai Yuan Star. This person was also from the Talisman Aristocratic Clan, a low-level true cultivation planet called Ink Essence Stars Qin Wu City. He was the one who brought the 5 Elements Treasure Fall Copper Coin. After this person found the Yu Clan on Dai Yuan Star, the Yu Clan exposed the existence of the 5 Elements Treasure Fall Copper Coin and gave it to the Yu Clan's premier genius, Yu Huangfu. In order not to disappoint this Yu Clan's descendant named Yu Yangji, the Yu Clan also took away Yu Yangji when they moved away. The Yu Clan's development in Striking Order Starry Skies had reached its limit. This time, Yu Huangfu's father, Yu Changtai, had become a Tier 7 Talisman Emperor. A Talisman Emperor was not something that could be achieved easily. Because Yu Changtai became a Talisman Emperor, the Yu Clan received an invitation from Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Coupled with the slow development of the Yu Clan in Striking Order Starry Skies, the Yu Clan decided to withdraw from Dai Yuan Star and move to Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Although Striking Order Heavenly Emperor did not want the Yu Clan to leave, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor did not have the guts to bargain with Grand Culmination Starry Skies. The Yu Clan had only moved to Grand Culmination Starry Skies in recent years. Moreover, because it was not easy to reach Grand Culmination Starry Skies, some of the Yu Clan's people temporarily stayed in Striking Order Starland's Lucky Heaven City. Yu Huangfu, who wanted to participate in the Time Wilderness, also decided to stay in Lucky Heaven City. Now that the Time Wilderness had closed, he also planned to head to Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Qianghua! Ning Cheng screamed out frantically. At this moment, he felt as if his entire soul was about to leave his body. That Yu Yangji had taken the 5 Elements Treasure Fall Copper Coin to the Starry Skies. What about his Qianghua? 2 lines of ice-cold tears turned into blood, and a violent aura surged within Ning Cheng's heart. Even if he stood still, he could not stop his body from trembling uncontrollably. This kind of torment made him want to tear open the void interface and head to Ink Essence Stars Qin Wu City. For the first time, he felt endless regret. He regretted letting Qianghua leave back in the sifting orchid star. The violent aura surging within his body grew stronger and stronger, and Ning Cheng's body trembled more and more violently. It felt as if his entire body would explode in the next moment. Any cultivator in such a situation would know that it was a precursor to cultivation deviation. However, Ning Cheng remained unaware of it, while his heart was tormented. In addition to regret, he also felt hatred. He hated the fact that his cultivation was too low and could not tear open the void interface. At this moment, he could not see anything at all. In my eyes, even if all the mirage stones in the entire universe were added up, it would not be as sad as you. If mirage stones, or even killing me, could make you happy, I would not have even half a shred of regret. Some things cannot be described with just, sorry. That is what I wanted. If I did not want to, you would not have been able to do it. Don't call me senior apprentice sister from now on, just call me Qianghua. My husband, I will be back soon. Uncle, you left me a void-cleaving talisman. After I finish my things, I will come back here to accompany you, and then go back to Jiangzhou with you to visit junior sister Rulin. Chapter 554. The corners of his mouth still contained the bitter and salty tears from Qionghua's kiss. But what about Qionghu? What about Qionghu? What about Qionghu? A call came from the bottom of his heart. Ningqing could no longer bear it. As he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, the berserk aura raged even more crazily within his body, causing his whole body to tremble even more fiercely. A mysterious yellow aura emerged from his zifu, just like a cool spring, instantly awakening Ningqing from his berserk state. Feeling the violent aura raging within his body, Ningqing felt shocked. If not for the mysterious yellow aura, he might have already fallen into cultivation deviation or even self-destructed. The crazed red in Ningqing's eyes gradually receded, while the murderous intent slowly condensed. "You clan." After a long time, Ningqing spat out 2 words. He then walked towards the severed arm step by step, picked it up and reattached it while swallowing a few medicinal pills. He must avenge this enmity. Just half an hour after Ningqing left, a man in a golden robe landed at the place where Ningqing and Yu Huangfu were fighting. After sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, his face suddenly turned livid, before he roared out in rage, "Who is it who dares to kill my Yu clan's disciple?" If it were an ordinary Yu clan's disciple, it would not have mattered. But this time, it turned out to be Yu clan's premier genius, Yu Huangfu. Yu clan had spent a lot of effort and resources to cultivate Yu Huangfu. What's more, Yu Huangfu's father was Yu Changtai. Yu Changtai was not only the Yu clan's second expert, but also the Yu clan's premier talisman grandmaster, who had just advanced to the Emperor Talisman Master realm. Now that Yu Changtai had just left Striking Order Starry Skies, his son had fallen outside Lucky Heaven City. Who could bear the consequences? Regardless of whether he could bear the consequences or not, the golden-robed man knew that he had to find the murderer in the shortest time possible. Yu Huangfu had left Lucky Heaven City to support Yuan, and this place had obviously undergone a battle. The one who could kill Yu Huangfu in a face-to-face battle was either a top-grade celestial gatherer genius or a celestial bridge cultivator. Thinking of this, the golden-robed man quickly left the place. He had to return to Lucky Heaven City to discuss with the rest of the Yu clan. Even if he had the highest cultivation in the Yu clan in Lucky Heaven City, he could not make this decision alone. The Mulberry region was not very far from Lucky Heaven City. It was only a few 100,000 miles away. For an ordinary person, this distance would take many years to travel. However, for a cultivator above the celestial novice realm, they could make a round trip in just half a day. This place was a gathering place for loose cultivators. Because there were no cities here, many loose cultivators had gathered together for a long time. That was why it was called the domain. This kind of place didn't have a specific manager. It was formed by intertwining forces and restraining each other. However, because this place was very close to the Lucky Heaven City and also within the Striking Order Starland, the cultivators living here had to abide by an invisible rule. The cultivators of the Mulberry region came from all over the place. There were all sorts of people mixed together, and there was no management to restrict them. The flow of cultivators was very high, so the price of cave abodes was very cheap. After Ningqing killed Yu Huangfu, he almost fell into cultivation deviation and was injured. Therefore, he did not return to Lucky Heaven City, but went to the Mulberry region. Entering a restaurant, Ningqing found a remote place and sat down. The appearance of the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin made Ningqing unable to calm down. "Friend, what kind of wine would you like to drink?" A dark-skinned female cultivator walked up to Ningqing with a smile. She was the bartender here. "What kind of wine do you have here?" Ningqing asked in a low voice. The bartender seemed to be used to Ningqing's customers and spoke in a fluent manner: starlight wine, ethereal spirit wine, mutual dependence wine, ice fire wine, gloom wine. "A pot of starlight wine." Ningqing casually replied. "Okay, 3,000 green coins for a pot." The female bartender took out a pot of wine and placed it in front of Ningqing. From the outside of the pot, one could see the flickering starlight. Ning Qing knew that this thing was actually a feeling. In this kind of place, it was absolutely impossible to drink a wine that could help one perceive the starlight. It was just like the none to depend on wine. He had been to several places but had never drunk the real none to depend on wine. Ning Qing took out 4,000 green coins and placed it in the bartender's hand. The bartender's face showed a slight joy and was just about to thank Ning Qing when she heard Ning Qing speak up. "This is a tip for you. I also want to ask you a few questions." "Dear guest, please ask away." The bartender's tone immediately turned polite. A tip of 1,000 green coins was not a lot in this place, but it was not a small amount either. "Have you heard of named Descendant Celestial River?" Ning Qing took out a wine glass and poured himself a glass before asking. The bartender quickly replied, "I've heard of it. Named Descendant Celestial River is one of our striking order Starry Skies 12 celestial rivers. Moreover, in the Time Wilderness trial, named Descendant Celestial River has a genius named Yi Lian who took the 8th place and will be heading to Grand Culmination Starry Sky with striking order Heavenly Emperor." Ning Qing had no interest in knowing who Yi Lian was. Seeing that the bartender knew about named Descendant Celestial River, he asked, "Do you know how long it will take to reach named Descendant Celestial River from striking order Starland?" The bartender thought about it for a moment before replying, "If you ride a top-grade Celestial River battleship, it will take about a year. During this time, you cannot encounter any Starry Skies demonic beasts. Once you do, there is no way to tell." Ning Qing's eyes flashed with a trace of loss. After a moment, he nodded to the bartender and said, "I see, thank you." After the bartender left, Ning Qing stared at the glass of starlight wine in front of him. The wine exuded a starry aura, as if it contained a starry Tao charm. Ning Qing shook his head. He knew that it was just an illusion. He then picked up the glass and downed it. After the appearance of the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin, Ning Qing immediately thought of Shi Qianghua and immediately felt worried about Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei was in the rootless Black City. He knew that a ship would travel to the rootless Black City every 10 years. However, this ship did not originate from named Descendant Celestial River. Rather, it came from a small planet on the periphery of named Descendant Celestial River. It would take 10 years to reach the rootless Black City from this planet. Moreover, Ning Qing did not know how long it would take to reach named Descendant Celestial River from this planet. According to his conversation with Lanya, he guessed that it would take longer than 10 years, not shorter. Even if he used the Celestial River battleship that he had snatched from Yu Huangfu, it would take him at least 20 years to reach the rootless Black City without encountering any Starry Skies demonic beasts or any other difficulties. Once something happened, he might not be able to return to the rootless Black City even after 100 years. What's more, he most likely would not be able to use Yu Huangfu's Celestial River battleship. Ning Qing knew that a genuine Celestial River battleship would generally recognize its owner. Yu Huangfu's Celestial River battleship was undoubtedly a genuine Celestial River battleship and definitely not a knockoff. However, this was not what worried Ning Qing the most. What worried him the most was that after a few decades, when he returned to the rootless Black City, Ji Luofei might have already left the rootless Black City to find him. Ning Qing gave out a sigh and picked up the wine pot before pouring the entire bottle of starlight wine into it. If he wanted to return to the rootless Black City as soon as possible, he could only use his original method, which was to leave the rootless Black City and head to the Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Only by improving his cultivation in the Grand Culmination Starry Skies and then purchasing a more powerful Starry Sky grade battleship or a more powerful flight-type Tao artifact would he be able to return to the rootless Black City in a short time. Yu Clan. Ning Qing finished the pot of wine and silently muttered those 2 words in his heart. Even if he wanted to head to the Grand Culmination Starry Skies, he would have to uproot the Yu Clan in the Lucky Heaven City. Otherwise, his Tao heart would feel unsettled. As for the Yu clan that had moved to the Grand Culmination Starry Skies, he would never let it go. For half a day, Ning Qing sat in the restaurant and did not leave. His mind was filled with the bits and pieces of memories he had with Shi Qianghua. At the same time, his mind was also filled with the 2 words Yu clan. He only had a celestial shatterer cultivation. Even if Lucky Heaven City was just a temporary foothold for the Yu clan, could he take revenge? Any cultivator in the Celestial Bridge realm could easily kill him. No matter how powerful his dusk spiritual technique was, he was only one person. Moreover, his dusk spiritual technique consumed too much energy. Every time he cast it, his sea of consciousness would turn empty, along with his celestial essence. Perhaps there was another way to kill the Yu clan, that is, to purchase some temporary medicinal pills that could forcibly raise his cultivation. Ning Cheng clenched his fists. Even if taking the medicinal pills would cause his cultivation to drop, he had to kill the Yu clan in Lucky Heaven City. Once he killed the Yu clan in Lucky Heaven City, he would then find a way to go to the Grand Culmination Starry Skies and wait for the right time to kill the Yu clan that had moved to the Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Yu clan's Yu Huangfu was killed. I heard that the matter even reached the ears of Striking Order Heavenly Emperor. Moreover, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor had issued an arrest warrant for the murderer. The voices from the side passed into Ning Cheng's ears, causing Ning Cheng to abruptly wake up from his contemplation. Although the Yu clan had moved away, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor still issued an arrest warrant. From this, one could tell that the Yu clan's power was not low. Ning Cheng carefully listened to the discussions between the two cultivators. I heard that as long as there is even a little clue, the Yu clan would offer a sky-high reward of celestial coins. Many cultivators even went to the scene of the battle to see it. Hey, to kill Yu Huangfu, it must be at least a cultivator in the Celestial Bridge realm or above. This amount of celestial coins is not something that we can earn. Seeing the two people's discussion gradually diverging, Ning Cheng picked up the wine pot and walked over. "Two friends, please. I was sitting next to you and heard the two of you talking about the Yu clan's Yu Huangfu." Hearing Ning Cheng talk about the Yu clan, the two cultivators immediately stopped talking and looked at Ning Cheng with vigilance. One of them only had a celestial gatherer cultivation, while the other had a celestial shatterer cultivation. Although they could gossip about each other, if something bad spread to the ears of the Yu clan, they would not be able to afford it. Seeing the two cultivators' nervous looks, Ning Cheng quickly spoke up. "Within the starry skies, everyone is a friend. I just wanted to ask casually. I heard that as long as you provide a few clues to the Yu clan, you can obtain a lot of celestial coins. Therefore, I wanted to try my luck." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, the two cultivators finally relaxed their vigilance. The two, on seeing that Ning Cheng did not even have a celestial wheel, felt a little speechless. A celestial novice cultivator, wanting to make such a fortune, was obviously just a dream. Chapter 555. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng left the restaurant. After obtaining some information, he decided to kill all the remaining cultivators of Yu clan in Lucky Heaven City before leaving. Because the Yu clan had produced a talisman emperor, they received an invitation from the Grand Culmination Starry Skies. A few years ago, the Yu clan moved from bright South Celestial River's Dai Yuan Star to Striking Order Starland's Lucky Heaven City. After that, the Yu clan's people continued to head towards Grand Culmination Starry Skies. Some of the Yu clan's cultivators stayed behind in Lucky Heaven City. Some of them were here for the Time Wilderness smelting trials, while others did not have the time to leave. Among the Yu clan's cultivators who remained in Lucky Heaven City, the one with the highest cultivation was Yu Shang, an undead cultivator. The rest were all celestial scryer cultivators. Ning Cheng believed that if he could purchase a medicinal pill to improve his cultivation, as long as he could forcibly raise his cultivation to the Celestial Bridge realm, regardless of the consequences, he would definitely kill the people from the Yu clan. As the premier chamber of commerce in the Manluan Starland, the Striking Star Chamber of Commerce had branches in almost every corner of the Manluan Starland. Even the Mulberry region, a place where rogue cultivators gathered, had a Striking Star merchant house. The Striking Star merchant house was the largest merchant house within the Mulberry region. Even if the prices here were higher compared to the other merchant houses, there were still many cultivators who came here to buy things. This was because there were no fakes here, and the same items here were of a higher grade than other commercial buildings. Most importantly, there was a complete range of goods available here. Even if you wanted something of a higher grade, as long as you could afford the celestial coins, the Striking Star Merchant House would be able to provide it. At this time, a middle-aged man arrived at the Striking Star Merchant House. This man's entire body exuded a fiery aura, while his appearance looked just like the bark of an ancient tree. This was none other than Ning Qing wearing the Dao artifact mask. This appearance was similar to the flaming man he had met when he obtained the fire origin bead. He was the one who saved the burning man with the bark, so it was only right for him to use his identity. Ning Qing walked into the Striking Star Merchant House and only glanced at the first floor before entering the second floor. It seemed that the powerful flame aura emanating from Ning Cheng's body had attracted the attention of the merchant house, causing a shop assistant to take the initiative to come in front of Ning Cheng and speak. "May I ask what senior needs?" Ning Cheng rolled his eyes and spoke. "Do you have any good healing pills here? Don't show me garbage." The shop assistant quickly spoke up. "Of course, we have the top-grade returning Celestial Jade Scale Pill, a Grade 4 Celestial River Healing Medicinal Pill, refined by a Celestial River Pill King from my striking order Starry Skies. Even Fate State seniors would be able to benefit from this pill. Is there anything better?" Ning Cheng once again asked with an expressionless face. The shop assistant hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Our pill house is not able to come up with better medicinal pills. However, the Striking Star Merchant House in the Lucky Heaven City sells them. It's just that the price is very expensive. A single Grade 4 returning Celestial Jade Scale pill costs 2 million green coins." This shop assistant apparently felt afraid that Ning Cheng would bite off more than he could chew, so he immediately stated the price first. Since the price of a Grade 4 Celestial River Medicinal Pill was already so high, then the price of a Grade 5 Celestial River Medicinal Pill was even more outrageous. "You can ask for the price, but you have to be able to afford it first." Ning Cheng cursed in his heart that this medicinal pill was simply a robbery. A single healing medicinal pill cost 2 million green coins. He also understood the shop assistant's intention, but he did not intend to go to Lucky Heaven City to purchase healing medicinal pills. "Then I'll buy 20 of them." Ning Cheng took out a 100 million green coin card. The shop assistant immediately understood that this flaming bark-like cultivator in front of him was a big customer. He quickly took out the medicinal pill and handed it to Ning Cheng before asking with an even more polite tone, "Does senior need anything else? Do you have a Grade 5 Celestial River Trap and Kill Formation?" Ning Cheng asked casually after putting away the medicinal pill. The shop assistant shook his head in silence. "Senior, we do not have such a high-grade trap and kill formation here. If you want to purchase a Grade 5 Celestial River Trap and Kill Formation, you will need to go to Lucky Heaven City." Hearing that there was no Grade 5 Trap and Kill Formation, Ning Cheng felt a little disappointed. He hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Then I need a lot of extreme Een stones, glazed light crystals, seeking heart ghost branches, green feather poison silk, heaven terminating sand." Ning Cheng listed out dozens of materials in one breath. "We have all these things. How many does senior need?" Only after Ning Cheng finished did the shop assistant give out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the materials Ning Cheng listed were not precious. Ning Cheng pondered for a moment before speaking. 200 of the same." "What?" The shop assistant exclaimed in shock. 200 of the same, was this a wholesale deal? Ning Cheng gave a cold snort, and the fiery aura around his body grew even more intense. The shop assistant shuddered. He knew that this kind of person was the easiest to serve, but also the most difficult to serve. Easy to serve because this kind of person had a lot of celestial coins, but difficult to serve because of this kind of person's eccentric temperament. He did not wait for Ning Cheng to speak at all and spoke up. "Senior, please wait a moment. I will help senior prepare it immediately. 200 of them, a total of 110 million green coins." Ning Cheng did not have to wait for long before the shop assistant delivered the things he needed, along with a storage bag. "Excuse me, senior, what else do you need?" Ning Cheng had done a business worth nearly 200 million green coins in just a blink of an eye, causing the shop assistant to regard Ning Cheng as a top customer. "No." Ning Cheng turned around and walked away. He had only taken 2 steps when he suddenly stopped and looked back, seemingly indifferently asking, "By the way, do you have any medicinal pills that can suddenly increase one's cultivation?" Something like the Burning Life pill. The Burning Life pill stimulated the true essence in a cultivator's body, allowing the cultivator's strength to soar in a short period of time, even by a few levels. Speaking of the Burning Life pill, Ning Qing immediately thought of Su Yingde. Although this woman wanted to kill him and use him to sever her emotions, he also remembered that this woman had saved his life with the Burning Life pill. Without this woman, he might have already died in the Hidden Mist Cemetery. However, this woman with a split personality, after burning her lifespan to save him, she then schemed against him and used his life to sever her emotions. Without his wife, Shi Qianghua, his fate would not have been much better. Thinking of Shi Qianghua, Ning Qing felt a burst of pain in his heart. If something really happened to Shi Qianghua, he would never forgive himself. Yes, of course, we have the grade 5 violent celestial pill here. This medicinal pill can even directly increase a celestial gatherer cultivator's cultivation by 2 levels. It can even be said to have amazing explosive power. The shop assistant quickly spoke up. Ning Qing felt moved in his heart. Increasing by 2 levels, doesn't that mean advancing from the celestial gatherer realm to the undead realm? The shop assistant awkwardly explained, this is only a theoretical possibility. Generally speaking, advancing from the celestial gatherer realm to the celestial bridge realm only costs 3 million green coins. Ning Qing sneered and spoke, this medicinal pill should be close to a grade 5 celestial river medicinal pill, right? Yet, it only costs 3 million green coins. Does it have any side effects? The shop assistant hesitated for a moment before speaking. There are indeed some side effects. That is, there is a very small possibility of the sea of consciousness collapsing after taking it. Because of the explosive power of this medicinal pill, if one's sea of consciousness cannot withstand it, it might directly collapse. Moreover, the effective time is only half an hour. After half an hour, the medicinal efficacy would disappear. As long as one's sea of consciousness can withstand it after taking it, one could recover after a period of weakness. Ning Qing finally understood. No wonder this medicinal pill was so cheap. This shop assistant definitely did not tell the truth. He said that after taking this medicinal pill, there was not a very small possibility of one's sea of consciousness collapsing, but rather a very large possibility. After all, advancing from the celestial scryer realm to the celestial river realm, the expansion of one's sea of consciousness would not be small. However, Ning Qing did not fear it. He had the starry sky sea of consciousness. After a slight hesitation, Ning Qing spoke up, in that case, give me 2 of these medicinal pills. The shop assistant felt happy in his heart. This violent celestial pill did not belong to the Striking Star Merchant House, but his own. Unfortunately, he only had one. I only have one of these medicinal pills. If Ning Qing impatiently interrupted the shop assistant's words, one is one, give it to me. Until Ning Qing walked out, the shop assistant still could not believe that he had actually sold this trash medicinal pill. No one dared to buy this violent celestial pill. As Ning Qing guessed, there was a 70 to 80% chance that one's sea of consciousness would collapse after taking this medicinal pill. Whether Ning Qing's sea of consciousness would collapse or not, the shop assistant did not care about it at all. What he cared about was how many celestial coins he earned today. After leaving the mulberry territory, Ning Qing dug out a cave in the wilderness. While healing himself, he started to refine an array disc. He could not buy a grade 5 celestial array disc, nor could he refine one. However, he could refine a grade 3 celestial array disc. A grade 3 celestial array disc might not mean much to an undead powerhouse, but what about 10 or 100? Entrapment arrays, killing arrays, entrapment and killing arrays. 3 days later, Ning Qing unexpectedly received a message from the celestial novice middle-aged man. The celestial novice cultivator told him that there was a way to get a ticket to the grand culmination starry skies. However, the price was a bit high. Ning Qing quickly sent a message back to the celestial novice cultivator, telling him that the price was not a problem. At the same time, he also made an appointment to meet at the entrance of the trade union 6 days later. No matter how crazy Lucky Heaven City tried to find the news of Yu Huangfu's death, striking Order Starland would not seal off the planet. Yu Shang was a member of the Yu clan, however, his face was still too shallow. Striking Order Heavenly Emperor had issued an arrest warrant not because of Yu Shang's face, but because of Yu Huangfu's father, Yu Changtai. Inside the Yu clan's residence in Lucky Heaven City, more than 20 Yu clan cultivators gathered in a spacious hall with ugly expressions on their faces. With Yu Huangfu dead, even if they managed to reach the grand culmination starry skies, they would have to bear the wrath of Yu clan's talisman emperor, Yu Changtai. Even if they could not avenge Yu Huangfu, they could at least find out who killed Yu Huangfu. However, 6 days had passed since Yu Huangfu's death, yet they still had not received any news. At this moment, a Yu clan cultivator with a celestial novice cultivation rushed in. He even forgot to salute Yu Shang and spoke up eagerly, "Uncle Shang, there is a young celestial novice cultivator outside." He said that he has news of senior apprentice brother Huangfu's death. What? Yu Shang suddenly stood up and spoke up anxiously, hurry up and call that cultivator in." Chapter 556. The cultivator who came to report the news soon found himself in front of Yu Shang. Sure enough, he was a young celestial novice cultivator who had not even cultivated a celestial wheel. Yu Shang wasn't in the mood to care about the cultivation of this reporting cultivator. He didn't even wait for the reporting cultivator to speak before he hurriedly said, "Hurry up and speak. What news do you have? Where did you get it?" The celestial novice cultivator came forward in fear and gave a respectful bow before carefully speaking, "I just came from River Mound City. Originally, I was in the River Mound City's moon governing merchant house to purchase medicinal pills when I happened to see a senior in the Celestial Bridge realm selling talismans to the merchant house. He took out a pile of talismans and a pair of talisman-shaped magic treasures. Initially, I did not care about it, but after I arrived at Lucky Heaven City, I came to know about Yu clan's Huangfu Tiansai's death. It immediately made me think that the talismans sold by that Celestial Bridge cultivator might have belonged to Yu clan." "Pa!" Yu Shang kicked the jade table in front of him to pieces as he gnashed his teeth and spoke, "Daring to kill my Yu clan's disciples, and even daring to sell talismans in River Mound City, courting death." The Yu clan's cultivators in the hall were filled with murderous auras. They already hated this cultivator who killed Yu Huangfu. Now that they had news of the murderer, how could they restrain themselves? A scarlet-robed celestial shatter cultivator stood up and said, "Uncle Shang, I think we should capture this person and force him to tell us where he came from. Then we can kill everyone related to him." Another cold snort arrived as a celestial gatherer cultivator standing next to Yu Shang stood up and spoke, "Uncle Shang, this person has a celestial bridge cultivation, yet dared to touch my Yu clan's genius disciple. Presumably he came from a low-level true cultivation planet. I think junior brother Min is right, but it's not enough. If we only kill people related to him, others will think that our Yu clan is easy to bully." Seeing everyone looking at him, the celestial gatherer cultivator spoke up again. "In addition to killing everyone related to this person, we also have to destroy this low-leveled planet. Let everyone know the consequences of offending my Yu clan." Ning Cheng, who had disguised himself as a cultivator from the reporting faith celestial body, felt shocked. This bastard truly was ruthless. He had only intended to get rid of the Yu clan's inheritance. He did not intend to lay his hands on the women and children of the Yu clan. However, these fellows actually wanted to destroy an entire planet. No matter how few people there were on a planet, there would still be more than 10 billion people. To them, killing more than 10 billion people was as easy as eating and drinking. The corner of Yu Shang's mouth revealed a trace of ruthlessness. Even if no one had suggested it, he would have found a way to destroy this low-level planet. Daring to kill the #1 genius of the Yu clan, this planet no longer needed to exist. What do you think about that person's appearance? Yu Shang's gaze once again fell on Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng quickly took out a portrait and handed it over. "I just drew it based on my memory. I just arrived at Lucky Heaven City, so that person must still be in River Mound City." Yu Shang took Ning Cheng's portrait and saw a cultivator with a pointy chin. He frowned slightly. This person felt somewhat familiar. However, he did not think too much about it. He glanced at the rest of the people and said, "I'm going to Pufu City now. I'll be back in an hour at most." River Mound City was very close to Lucky Heaven City. With Yu Shang's undead cultivation, it would not be strange for him to return in an hour. "Uncle Shang, why don't you call a few disciples to come with you?" An older Yu clan disciple quickly spoke up. Yu Shang laughed. "A trivial celestial bridge cultivator, I don't even put him in my eyes." He had been to the scene of the fight, and even that celestial bridge cultivator and Yu Huangfu had fought for a long time. How could he fear such a fellow? What's more, once he arrived at River Mound City, he would not even need to do anything himself. As long as he spoke to the city master, someone would automatically capture the murderer. Heavenly Emperor Striking Order had to give face to the Yu clan, so how could others not give face? Before Yu Shang left, he nodded to the two Celestial Gatherer cultivators beside him and said, "Yu Hai, I'll leave this place to you." After that, he glanced at Ning Cheng again before quickly leaving the hall. "Thank you for coming here to inform us." After Yu Shang left, the Celestial Gatherer cultivator called Yu Hai spoke to Ning Cheng in a warm tone. Ning Cheng quickly waved his hand. "No need, no need. It's what I should do. By the way, who else is in your family? Where do you live? Who else knows that you came here?" Yu Hai continued to ask with a smile. "I'm a rogue cultivator, and there is no one in my family. I can eat my fill alone without starving the whole family. Therefore no one knows that I came here." Ning Cheng gave a somewhat reserved and awkward smile. At the same time, he used his spiritual consciousness to secretly calculate what to do next. Yu Hai felt very satisfied with Ning Cheng's answer and nodded before speaking. "That's for the best. However, we are sorry that we can't give you any remuneration. It's not that we don't want to part with these celestial coins, but you don't have the life to spend it." Ning Cheng asked in surprise, "Why?" He truly felt a little surprised. After all, he came here to deliver a message. Moreover, the Yu clan was also a famous clan. How could they be reluctant to part with these celestial coins? The scarlet-robed celestial shatter cultivator who spoke before glanced at Ning Cheng with disdain. "A trivial celestial novice cultivator dares to receive a reward of 1 billion green coins?" Ning Cheng suddenly spoke up. "I understand. You want to destroy a planet. Therefore, you are afraid that if I spread the news, it would not be good for the Yu clan's reputation." Yu Hai showed a slight smile. "You're right. Since you came here to deliver the message, you can solve it yourself. Fortunately, no one knows that you came here, which is a good thing for you and others. If the Yu clan destroyed a planet, others could speculate that the Yu clan did it. However, they could never have any evidence that the Yu clan did it." "All right." Ning Cheng suddenly spoke up. "By the way, did you know that I killed Yu Huangfu?" As Ning Cheng spoke the last word, he immediately brought out the treasured thunder spear in his hand. At the same time, his celestial river domain crazily swept out. Dozens of terrifying flame-like spear intents erupted around the spear shadows. These spear intents then shot out with a sharp murderous intent. Although Ning Cheng felt somewhat restrained in front of Yu Huangfu, he did not care about the low-leveled cultivators here. As his powerful domain stretched out, it completely enveloped the Yu clan's cultivators. However, the cultivators here could not react. It was not until Ning Cheng's treasured thunder spear pierced through the glabella of 5 celestial gatherer cultivators that the rest of the Yu clan's disciples reacted. Crazily stretching out their domains, they also brought out their weapons to attack Ning Cheng. At this time, why would Ning Cheng feel any fear of other things being discovered? Bringing out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, the increasingly clear Blue Thunder City blocked the bombardment of more than a dozen weapons. At the same time, more and more flame patterns appeared on Ning Cheng's long spear. Poof, poof, poof. Blood splattered as Ning Cheng continuously pierced through their dantians. This was a battle without any resistance. After Ning Cheng ambushed the 5 celestial gatherer cultivators with the highest cultivation under the shackles of his celestial river domain, the Yu clan's cultivators in the room simply could not organize any resistance. The celestial river flame, which had been broken down, burned more than a dozen life essence spirits. However, Ning Cheng's soundproofing restrictions completely sealed off their screams. What hatred does my Yu clan have with you? Not only did you brutally kill my Yu clan's people, but you also used such vicious means. Yu Hai roared at Ning Cheng through gritted teeth. Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. If your Yu clan had caught me, I'm afraid it would not have been so simple, right? Your Yu clan even killed the messenger. It really is bad to the bone. Now, I only have one question for you. Who knows the origin of the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? I will give you pain. Are you here for the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? Yu Hai seemed to have understood something. Ning Cheng did not bother to answer his words and continued to use the celestial river flame to burn them. I know. I beg Senior to give me a clean answer. What Ning Cheng did not expect was that the one who spoke was the celestial shatter cultivator in red robes. The celestial river flame in Ning Cheng's hand cracked open, and more than a dozen life essence spirits turned to ashes, leaving only the scarlet-robed celestial shatter cultivator. Speak. If I am not satisfied with what you say, I will use the flame to burn your life essence for 49 days. Ning Cheng's tone turned even colder. If not for the fact that he could not use Soul Search to find complete information, he would not have asked this scarlet-robed cultivator to speak and would have directly used Soul Search. The scarlet-robed cultivator quickly replied, yes, yes. The 5 elements treasure fall copper coin was brought by a low-level disciple of my Yu clan, Yu Yangzhi. That Yu Yangzhi came from the Ink Essence Star's Qinwu City. In the Qinwu City, there is a female cultivator called Shi Qianghua. When Ning Cheng heard that Qianghua, in order to return to the Sifting Orchid Star, had asked the Yu clan for help in crafting talismans, but ended up being schemed against by the Yu clan, and ended up perishing together with the Yu clan, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Yu Yangzhi was a crafty old fox. After snatching the 5 elemental treasure fall copper coin, he used the void cleaving talisman to enter the starry sky. His luck was good. It only took him more than 10 years to find an airship in the starry sky. There was no need for this scarlet-robed cultivator to speak about it, as Ning Cheng had already learnt about it from Yu Huangfu. Moreover, Ning Cheng did not know that Shi Qianghua had spent decades helping the Yu clan find materials for crafting talismans. One could even say that Yu Yangzhi being able to craft the void cleaving talisman was mostly due to Shi Qianghua's efforts. If Ning Cheng knew about it, he might have continued to burn the life essence of this place. Yu Shang asked around the entire Pu Mound city, but he could not find the moon managing merchant house, so he felt that something was wrong. A puny celestial novice cultivator dared to lie to him? Even if he wanted to lie, he would not fabricate a merchant house. Unable to find the lunar governing merchant house, Yu Shang once again recalled Ning Cheng's words. Although Ning Cheng spoke to him, an undead cultivator, with a respectful demeanor, Ning Cheng's tone felt somewhat wrong. A celestial novice cultivator speaking to an undead cultivator like him should have addressed him as senior, and should have addressed himself as junior. It felt like he had directly addressed himself as me. Besides, even if a celestial bridge cultivator killed Huangfu, there was no need to sell Yu clan's talismans in such an arrogant manner in such a close place, right? Even if it was for sale, how could a puny celestial novice cultivator discover it? He had been in a rush to find the murderer, which resulted in him not thinking of so many flaws. This celestial novice cultivator definitely had a problem. Yu Shang immediately reacted. He immediately thought of the lunar governing merchant house. Didn't that mean murdering Yu merchant house? This person was an enemy of the Yu clan. Thinking of this, Yu Shang no longer had the mood to stay in River Mound City. He immediately rushed out of River Mound City and rushed towards Lucky Heaven City. Chapter 557. The Yu clan's residence was extremely quiet. After entering the defensive array formation, Yu Shang's spiritual consciousness immediately swept towards the corpses of the Yu clan's cultivators in the hall. His expression changed and he stepped into the hall. He had just left this place an hour ago. Before leaving, he had also instructed Yu Hai to kill the celestial novice cultivator who came to report the news. However, he did not expect that half an hour later he would return to this place only to see the corpses of Yu clan's cultivators. Yushang's hands trembled slightly. The Yu clan had left him in Lucky Heaven City to lead the Yu clan's disciples who had not yet had the time to leave. But now, not only was Yu Huangfu killed, even the cultivators from Lucky Heaven City's Yu clan had all died. No, that's not right, Yushang suddenly woke up. Since the other party wanted to kill everyone in the Yu clan, why did they want to deceive him? Since they had tricked him into leaving, why didn't they go to a faraway place? Why didn't they make him come back so quickly? Just as Yushang thought of this, a terrifying killing intent swept over. This definitely was a cultivator in the Celestial Bridge realm. Yushang immediately brought out his Iron Pagoda artifact. However, before he could bring out his Iron Pagoda artifact, a powerful domain shackle swept over him. Someone's sneak attacked him, causing Yushang to groan. Celestial essence surged out of his body, and he forcibly twisted his body. However, a sharp spear shadow shot past his waist. If it were an ordinary Celestial Bridge realm's domain shackles, Yushang would have been able to break free from it. However, the domain in front of him far exceeded the domain of an ordinary Celestial Bridge cultivator. As such, he could not completely withdraw from this murderous intent. Poof! An axe with an even more powerful axe intent immediately smashed into his abdomen, directly blasting open a bloody hole in his abdomen, even bringing out a chunk of his internal organs. A violent aura suddenly appeared in the middle of the hall, as Ning Cheng stood up from the pile of dead Yu clan cultivators. So it's you. No wonder you led me away. It turns out that you are just a celestial scryer ant relying on a violent celestial pill. You dare to wait for me here. You swallowed the violent star pill and didn't die. It's not your luck, it's your misfortune. Yushang's eyes and words contained an ice-cold killing intent. He had already thought about how to deal with Ning Cheng. If he did not torture this ant-like celestial scryer cultivator to the point that he begged for death, he would not be a disciple of the Yu clan. Ning Cheng's murderous aura overflowed from his body, and his cultivation soared. However, his starry sky sea of consciousness managed to block the expansion of his celestial essence. However, Ning Cheng did not feel much happiness in his heart. He had used the violent celestial pill to forcibly raise his cultivation to the Celestial Bridge realm. However, it was still a far cry from advancing to the Celestial Bridge realm. Although Yushang suffered a sneak attack from him, he unexpectedly managed to avoid a fatal spear strike. Moreover, the wishful demon axe opened a bloody hole in his abdomen at a speed visible to the naked eye. This undead realm cultivator truly was formidable. Ning Cheng did not speak any nonsense with Yushang. Bringing out the treasured thunder spear, it shot out a fire-patterned shadow. He had to kill Yushang in the shortest possible time, otherwise he could only wait for death. Do you think that by forcibly advancing to the Celestial Bridge realm and sneak attacking me, you can kill me? Idiot. Presumably, you also sneak attacked Yu Huangfu. Apart from sneak attacks and swallowing violent celestial pills, ants don't have anything else to do. As Yu Shang spoke, the iron tower in his hand suddenly swelled up. The iron tower rapidly grew, and in the blink of an eye, it had reached the 3rd floor. Ning Cheng did not speak a single word. The treasured thunder spear's fire-patterned shadow grew denser and denser, while the spear intent grew more and more powerful. The 1st floor of the iron tower brought out by Yushang suddenly erupted with layers after layers of black fog. Ning Cheng felt shocked. Was this a poisonous fog? Although he felt shocked, his hands did not stop moving. Instead, he threw out countless array flags. One after another, array discs emerged around Yushang. Sword lights, saber lights, spear lights, axe lights. Densely packed together, submerging Yushang in a blink of an eye. Yushang gave a cold snort. You dare to use some garbage array discs against me. He felt anger in his heart. He felt anger towards Ning Cheng, an ant-like cultivator, for using a grade 3 celestial killing array to deal with him, an undead realm powerhouse. The black fog on the 1st floor of the iron tower began to condense, forming a huge net that shot towards Ning Cheng. However, Ning Cheng's hundreds of celestial ranked array discs managed to block this giant net. Ning Cheng's traceless spear intent had not yet attacked when a half-moon blade light shot out from the 2nd floor of Yushang's iron tower. These blade lights easily tore through Ning Cheng's celestial river domain. Under these terrifying blade lights, Ning Cheng's 3-star offensive array discs started to crack like popcorn. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He finally realized what it meant to be ignorant and fearless. He was too ignorant. He thought that by forcibly advancing to the Celestial Bridge realm, he could talk to Yu Shang in the undead realm. In fact, he was not just 1 or 2 points behind. If he hadn't taken the violent celestial pill, he would have already died. Ning Cheng had advanced to the Celestial Bridge realm with the help of the violent essence pill. Although it could not compare to the Celestial Bridge realm that he cultivated normally, it was still several times stronger than his previous Celestial Shatterer realm. Even so, it was not enough in front of Yu Shang. The gap between the undead realm and the Celestial Bridge realm was so huge. Ning Cheng had used all kinds of favorable conditions to sneak attack Yu Shang. However, it obviously did not cause any fatal damage to Yu Shang. Buzz. Although Ning Cheng brought out the wishful demon axe with all his strength, the first half-moon blade light that flew out from the second floor of Yu Shang's iron tower still managed to blow away his small axe. At the same time, the black mist net that had gradually destroyed more than 100 grade 3 celestial killing arrays also seemed to be about to envelop him. Ning Cheng still had 2 options. One was to bring out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, and the other was to use the Dusk Spiritual Technique. Ning Cheng knew that facing such a powerful Yu Shang, whether he used the Maximal Flame Spiritual Technique or brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, it would only allow him to live a little longer. Moreover, his violent celestial pill could only last for half an hour. Because of his lack of understanding of cultivators in the undead realm, coupled with his overestimation of the effects of the violent celestial pill, he had fallen into a desperate situation. Yu Shang apparently saw that Ning Cheng had no way out. He gave a cold snort. "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." He was not in a hurry to ask Ning Cheng why he hated the Yu clan so much. After he sealed Ning Cheng's essence spirit, he would turn everything behind this ant into ashes. Poof! The Iron Tower's second half-moon blade light finally tore through Ning Cheng's domain and pierced through Ning Cheng's waist, leaving behind a wound that looked even more horrifying than Yu Shang's waist. Seeing the exit to the 3rd floor of Yu Shang's Iron Tower flickering with light, Ning Cheng knew that he could not wait any longer. The treasured thunder spear in his hand shot out in a frenzy, bringing with it a flash of lightning. Courting death. Seeing Ning Cheng shoot out with his spear for no reason, Yu Shang's mouth turned even more sneering. This celestial scryer ant was at a complete loss. He could not even display his basic skills. However, he soon felt something wrong. Although he was in the hall, he could feel the setting sun. Then he saw a beautiful sunset glow at the tip of Ning Cheng's spear. What a beautiful dusk! Yu Shang had just sighed when he saw his iron tower seemingly come to a standstill. His black mist net also came to a standstill, and even his half-moon blade light also came to a standstill. The radiant door on the 3rd floor of the iron tower, which was about to open, also came to a halt. No, this was not a beautiful dusk. This was a spirit technique, a time-type spirit technique. Thinking that Ning Cheng could control a time-type spirit technique, Yu Shang felt his soul fly out of his body. Ning Cheng also felt shocked. This was not the first time he had used a time-type spirit technique. However, this time, it gave him a huge shock. For the first time, he saw dusk and the setting sun in his spirit technique. Even he himself lost himself in this beautiful sunset's twilight. However, Ning Cheng quickly sobered up. This was just his dusk spirit technique. This sunset glow had suddenly appeared, not because of a change in the dusk spirit technique, but because of a change in his cultivation. He had forcibly raised his cultivation to the Celestial Bridge realm, which allowed his cultivation to rise by several times. At the same time, the dusk spirit technique that he cast now had a vague sunset glow and a sunset rainbow. In the future, once his cultivation rose again, his dusk spirit technique would become even more beautiful. However, that beauty would also bring with it the sadness of a setting sun. Yu Shang immediately reacted to the fact that it was a time-type spirit technique. Knowing that this celestial scryer cultivator had touched upon the laws of time, He no longer showed even half a shred of contempt. He crazily stimulated his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence, trying to break free from this sunset's dusk. The half-moon blade light once again started to move slowly, and the black net also started to move slowly. The surroundings seemed to have started to regain its vitality. Ning Cheng felt shocked in his heart. He did not think that Yushang could move his dusk spirit technique. Moreover, he had taken the violent celestial pill. If he had not taken the violent celestial pill, this dusk spirit technique might not have any effect on Yushang. Poof! The treasured thunder spear blasted out a bloody mist. Yushang stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes. Before this moment, he never believed that this cultivator who had swallowed the violent celestial pill had touched upon the laws of time. However, the facts forced him to believe it. Facing a time-type spirit technique, even if he was an undead cultivator, he would still die. He had indeed loosened the time spirit technique. As long as he had 3 breaths, no, as long as he had 2 breaths or even 1 breath, he could have turned defeat into victory and killed this puny celestial scryer cultivator. Unfortunately, he did not even have half a breath of time. When he loosened the time spirit technique, the spear had already pierced through his glabella. Catcha! The treasured thunder spear twisted, and Yushang's life essence did not even have time to escape before Ning Cheng's treasured thunder spear turned it into nothingness. Feeling extremely weak, Ning Cheng used the treasured thunder spear to prop up his body and gasped for a few breaths. If not for the dusk spirit technique, he would not have stood even half a chance today. The strength of the undead realm made him understand that it was foolish to forcibly raise one's cultivation. Fortunately, he had lured Yushang away before he started. Otherwise, even with the dusk spirit technique, he would not have been able to obtain any benefits today. Ning Cheng threw out several fireballs, turning everything in this place into flying ash. He then looked at the treasured thunder spear in his hand and thought to himself, this spirit technique should no longer be called dusk. It should be called sunset's twilight. The crazy loss of celestial essence and spiritual consciousness made Ning Cheng realize that after casting the dusk spirit technique, the aftereffects of the violent celestial pill would arrive ahead of time. As such, he could not stay here any longer. After checking again to make sure that he did not miss anything, Ning Cheng quickly left the hall. Chapter 558. The returning star jade scale pill was not cheap, but its effects were not bad. Ning Cheng's injuries were not light. But even with his celestial essence exhausted, he still managed to stop his injuries after taking several returning celestial jade scale pills. Once again arriving at the entrance of the trade union, Ning Cheng did not see the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator. However, he also knew that he did not have any celestial essence and had severe injuries. Therefore, there was no better way than to wait here. If there was no news about the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator, he would have no choice but to leave Lucky Heaven City. At this moment, he could only rely on his luck. Once the news of Yu Clan's cultivators dying in Lucky Heaven City spread out, even if he was a celestial novice cultivator, he would still end up being investigated. Senior, this junior was just wondering when you would arrive. I didn't expect you to come so soon. A pleasantly surprised voice arrived, causing Ning Cheng to turn around and see the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was completely exhausted, and even his celestial essence was almost depleted. Yet, he did not discover the other party first. Ning Cheng deliberately frowned, indicating that he was a little impatient. Because Ning Cheng had lost all of his cultivation, although he had taken the returning celestial jade scale pill, it could only suppress his injuries. This middle-aged celestial novice cultivator could smell the faint smell of blood coming from Ning Cheng. However, he did not dare to ask about it. Now that Ning Cheng frowned, he quickly bowed and spoke. Senior, I do not have a ticket, but I do have a way to help Senior get onto the ship, but I would have to use the identity of a servant to board the ship. Ning Cheng didn't expect this fellow to have such skills. Ning Cheng couldn't help but praise him in his heart. However, on the surface, he pretended to ponder over it for a moment before speaking. Are we going to sit on the same ship as those geniuses heading to the grand culmination starry skies? The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator quickly replied, "No, this time, because Heavenly Emperor also wants to go to Grand Culmination Starry Skies. More than a dozen merchant ships are tagging along. I helped you get the identity of a slave on a merchant ship. This is a little unfair to Senior." Ning Qing waved his hand and spoke, "You don't have to say anything about being wronged. I don't really care about my identity, but I will not really become a slave. I just need a separate place to rest, and I don't need to be ordered around." The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator spoke with certainty, "Naturally, but the price? How many celestial coins? Just tell me directly." Ning Qing simply waved his hand. "One. 3 billion green coins." Originally, he wanted to say 1 billion celestial coins. However, this middle-aged celestial novice cultivator felt that Ning Cheng's money was easy to earn and added another 300 million midway. So cheap? Ning Cheng had initially thought that it would cost at least 4 to 5 billion green coins. However, he did not expect that it would only cost 3 billion green coins. He also knew that this middle-aged celestial novice cultivator had increased the price. However, for him, it was not a matter of celestial coins, but a matter of leaving this place as soon as possible. Ning Qing hesitated for 5 or 6 minutes. It was not until this middle-aged celestial novice cultivator started to feel uneasy that Ning Qing gave out a sigh. "So expensive." Not waiting for the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator to take the initiative to lower the price, Ning Qing continued, 3 billion green coins it is. Fortunately, I barely have enough on me. When are you leaving? I don't have time to wait. Otherwise, I'll find someone else." Hearing that Ning Qing did not even ask for a single cent, the middle-aged celestial novice cultivator quickly spoke up, "We can leave now. Senior can pay after boarding the airship." Ning Qing wanted to hear these words. He knew that the airship heading to Grand Culmination Starry Skies would leave in a few days. If this celestial novice cultivator could not handle this matter by tonight, he would not hesitate to leave Lucky Heaven City. An hour later, the celestial novice cultivator brought Ning Cheng to a relatively remote courtyard in Lucky Heaven City. Ning Cheng had lost his cultivation. As such, he did not want to enter this small courtyard. However, he also knew that if he wanted to leave Lucky Heaven City safely, he had to go inside. "Are you here?" A low voice emerged from the small courtyard. Ning Cheng had just entered the small courtyard when he saw a thin, dark-faced man appear in front of him. This dark-faced cultivator had 3 celestial wheels behind him, indicating that he had a celestial gatherer cultivation. The middle-aged celestial novice cultivator who brought Ning Cheng in immediately changed to a humble tone and replied, "Yes, Association Master. The price has already been negotiated. As long as this guest has a quiet place to rest, good or bad, the price is 3 billion green coins." Ning Cheng saw the dark-faced man's eyes flash with joy. Apparently, he felt very satisfied with the price. "My name is Pei Pei. Many thanks for trusting us, friend." The dark-faced man cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and spoke in a polite tone. Ning Cheng took out the 3 billion green coins card and handed it over before speaking with a flat tone, "I want to board the ship now." He had lost his cultivation and did not have the confidence to bargain with others. Therefore, taking out the green coins showed that he was a forthright person and did not like to procrastinate. As for signing up, he did not even think about it. "Huh." Pei Pei put away the green coin card and laughed. "This friend sure is straightforward. Since you are so straightforward, I, Pei Pei, would like to send you to the airship alone. Please." Following Pei Pei out of the small courtyard, Ning Qing gave a dark sigh in his heart. No matter where he went in the future, he could not put himself at such an absolute disadvantage. With his cultivation gone, he did not have the slightest ability to resist. Pei Pei, on seeing that Ning Qing did not like to talk, did not continue to ask about Ning Cheng's matters. With the green coins in hand, he did not need to ask about anything else. Pei Pei brought Ning Cheng out of Lucky Heaven City and brought out a battleship before speaking to Ning Cheng with a smile. "The merchant ships heading to Grand Culmination Starry Skies are all outside Striking Order Starland. We will depart in 3 days. I will send you to the airship now. After getting on the airship, try not to talk too much. After all, you do not have a ticket. Thank you. Ning Qing nodded and entered Pei Pei's battleship. If Pei Pei had any ideas, he would not be able to do anything about it. At most, he would drag the other party down with him. To Ning Cheng's relief, Pei Pei was a very well-behaved businessman and did not do anything to Ning Cheng. Half an hour later, Pei Pei brought Ning Cheng to the huge Starry Skies public square outside Striking Order Starland. At the edge of the huge Starry Skies public square, in addition to the rows of buildings for handling identity jade cards, there were also more than a dozen huge airships parked there. Pei Pei took Ning Cheng to one of the airships, and immediately a celestial gatherer cultivator with a goatee came over. This cultivator spoke to Pei Pei for a while before Ning Cheng saw Pei Pei take out something for this cultivator. You and Steward Lu board the airship together. If you need any help, you can ask Steward Lu directly. I'll be leaving now. Pei Pei gave Ning Cheng a simple sentence before turning around and walking away. Come with me. The goatee man brought Ning Cheng to the edge of one of the airships and made a gesture to the cultivator on the airship. A small door suddenly opened in the middle of the huge void airship, and a ladder extended out from this small door. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief. He was afraid that this fellow would ask him to fly up, which he did not have the ability to do. After Steward Lu brought Ning Cheng onto the airship, they continued to descend. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Steward Lu spoke up, "You can stay here for the time being." Ning Cheng then saw a huge hall in front of him, filled with all kinds of cultivators, both men and women. He looked at Steward Lu with some surprise. He had said that he would have a quiet place to rest, so why did he bring him to the big cabin? Steward Lu did not wait for Ning Cheng to speak and spoke with a smile. When there is a free grocery room, I will arrange it for you. Ning Cheng knew that once Steward Lu spoke these words, it meant that he would never be able to have a quiet room. Now that he had boarded the airship, he could only give out a sigh in his heart and cupped his fists towards Steward Lu. Many thanks, Sir Steward. Steward Lu showed a smile before turning around and walking away. On the void airship heading to Grand Culmination Starry Skies, it was already good enough to have a place to stand, yet he still wanted a single room? Although everyone here were Starry Skies cultivators, there were too many people crowding in this place, which inevitably created some strange smells. Moreover, it was not easy to find a place to rest. Ning Cheng walked around for a long time but could not find a place to sit down. Some cultivators, on seeing Ning Cheng walking towards them, even deliberately stretched out their feet, meaning that there were already people here. Friend, sit here with me, I still have some space here. Just when Ning Cheng was thinking about finding a place to sit down in the middle of the hall, a voice called out to him. When Ning Cheng looked back, he found that it was an old man with grizzled hair who looked exactly the same as his current appearance. This old man was also holding a wine pot in his hand. Many thanks, friend. Ning Cheng replied politely and walked to the old man's side and sat down. This place was close to the corner of the hall and would not attract attention. The old man nodded to Ning Cheng and did not speak again. Ning Cheng was seriously injured and could not speak. He wanted to take out perpetual moon pills for cultivation, but taking out perpetual moon pills in this place would only be courting death. Ning Cheng's powerful Starry Skies sea of consciousness and vigorous celestial essence cultivation once again benefited him a lot. For ordinary cultivators, after taking the violent celestial pill, they would not show any signs of recovery within a few months. In just a few hours, Ning Cheng's celestial essence began to slowly condense, and his spiritual consciousness also began to slowly recover. This made Ning Cheng feel pleasantly surprised. In this place, without cultivation, one would only end up as an existence for others to humiliate. He initially thought that it would take at least a dozen days for him to recover his cultivation. He did not expect it to start recovering so quickly. At this moment, Ning Cheng did not care about where he was and immersed himself in the recovery of his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence. Even if the cabin was noisy, Ning Cheng directly ignored it. Ning Cheng obviously did not think about anything at this time, but something big had happened in Lucky Heaven City. Yu Clan's cultivators in Lucky Heaven City had all been killed. Connecting it to Yu Huangfu's death, everyone understood that someone had a grudge against the Yu clan. Seeing the Yu clan's cultivators killed in Lucky Heaven City, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor flew into a rage. If only 1 or 2 Yu clan cultivators died, he would not have cared. But now, all the Yu clan's cultivators in Lucky Heaven City had died, which was a slap to his face. What's more, he was about to head to Grand Culmination Starry Skies. How would he explain it to the Yu clan? Chapter 559. Ning Cheng felt a slight jolt and woke up. It must have been the airship starting. Ning Cheng felt secretly happy in his heart. Since the airship had started moving, it meant that no one had found this place. Looking at the still noisy cabin, Ning Cheng closed his eyes and continued to heal himself. With the help of the returning celestial jade scale pill, his injuries had almost completely healed in just 3 days. Even his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness had recovered a small part. As long as he had another half a month, Ning Cheng felt sure that he would fully recover. The cultivators in the cabin basically had their own fixed spots, while the old man sitting next to Ning Cheng still held a pot of wine in his hand. Some of the cultivators who seemed to have reached the celestial bridge realm set up tents in the cabin, with restrictions protecting the outside of the tents. There were also some cultivators who gathered together to form a small team. Ning Cheng looked like an old man, without even a celestial wheel, so no one wanted to team up with him. After Steward Lu sent Ning Cheng in, he also sent a few more people in. However, after the airship started moving, he did not come in again. It was already the 8th day since the void airship started moving, and Ning Cheng's injuries had fully recovered. Even his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence were about to fully recover. Ning Cheng had already decided that as soon as his cultivation recovered, he would go to Steward Lu. No matter what method he used, he had to get a place to cultivate. Otherwise, he would have to sit like a fool for a few years while the merchant ship flew through the void. Buzz. A sharp murderous intent made Ning Cheng subconsciously lean to the side. A moment later, a black light flashed and slammed into the bulkhead behind Ning Cheng. 2 celestial gatherer cultivators were fighting at this moment. The cultivators around the cabin only watched, but no one came forward. Poof! A bloody light burst out from between the eyebrows of one of the cultivators. Before the cultivator fell, the other cultivator fighting with him brought out a fireball and burned the cultivator to ashes. Ning Cheng felt surprised in his heart. How could people fight casually in this place? He had been healing here for more than a dozen days. Didn't that mean that he was carrying his head in his hands? Senior, can people fight here? Ning Cheng carefully asked the old man holding the pot of wine next to him. A few days ago, this old man gave him a spot. The old man said in a low voice, "Of course you can, but you can't make too much noise. If you make too much noise, the steward will come over and kill all the cultivators fighting. You're not young anymore, so you don't have to call me senior. My surname is Ji." Ning Cheng nodded. He knew that he was the youngest in this place, but it was because he had lost a lot of his lifespan due to the passage of time. At this time, his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness had recovered. "Old fart, celestial novice ant, you actually dared to let us pass. Are you looking for death?" Cheng, celestial Cheng. To say, be, celestial Chen. Ning Cheng sat down and did not move. If not for old man Ji telling him not to make too much noise, he would not have known why this celestial gatherer cultivator came looking for him. Now, of course, he understood. He had let go of the black light, causing it to hit the bulkhead, causing some noise. In case the ship's steward was attracted by this noise, this celestial gatherer cultivator would die without a doubt. As a grade 3 celestial array master, Ning Cheng knew that this cabin's defensive array formations were extremely sturdy. Although the celestial gatherer cultivator's black light had hit the bulkhead, it did not amount to much. It's just that this fellow was truly unreasonable. Ning Cheng had not let go, and that black light had blasted open his glabella. Should he just wait for death? Although this celestial gatherer cultivator's words did not make even half a bit of sense, Ning Cheng did not want to get involved. Therefore he did not answer. Moreover, he also noticed that this celestial gatherer cultivator seemed to have a few companions. "Take out your ring, and I'll spare your life, you old fart." The celestial gatherer cultivator, on seeing Ning Cheng not answering, his murderous aura turned even thicker, and his tone turned even more disdainful. "Did you say you want my ring?" Ning Cheng slowly stood up. "Since you're not deaf, then take it out quickly." The celestial gatherer cultivator raised his hand and tried to grab Ning Cheng's robe. Apparently, Ning Cheng, a puny celestial novice cultivator, was nothing in his eyes. Ning Cheng raised his hand and brought out the treasured thunder spear, which drew an invisible spear-intent trajectory. At the same time, he spoke up, "I'll give it to you." As a powerful domain came crashing down, the celestial gatherer cultivator immediately felt that something was wrong. However, before he could do anything, the treasured thunder spear had already pierced through his glabella, without even taking a breath. Bang! Ning Cheng's treasured thunder spear had just pierced through the celestial gatherer cultivator's glabella when a fireball erupted, turning the celestial gatherer cultivator into ashes. Concealed cultivation? At this moment, all the cultivators in the cabin looked at Ning Cheng in complete silence. Even a fool would guess that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation. Otherwise, a cultivator without a celestial wheel would never be able to kill a celestial gatherer cultivator with a single spear. Even a sneak attack would not be enough. Ning Cheng raised his hand and put away the storage ring, before slowly sitting down again. The entire hall turned quiet, and at this moment, there was no longer any of the previous noise. The few cultivators who had stretched out their legs to stop Ning Cheng from sitting down felt their hearts beating wildly. They never expected that this seemingly unremarkable old man would turn out to be so terrifying. Even some of the celestial bridge cultivators did not dare to stand up and speak up. Ning Cheng could conceal his cultivation and kill a celestial gatherer cultivator with a single spear strike. Maybe he was also a celestial bridge cultivator. The celestial gatherer cultivator killed by Ning Cheng also formed a small team with a few other people. However, at this time, no one stood up and spoke up. What happened inside just now? Who was fighting inside? Steward Lu walked in and asked with a fierce tone. The entire hall remained silent, and no one took the initiative to come out and complain. Steward Lu apparently did not intend to go into it. His cold gaze swept back and forth a few times before he turned around and left. Seeing Steward Lu about to leave, Ning Cheng quickly stood up and quickened his pace out of the hall. After Ning Cheng followed Steward Lu out, the noisy voices in the hall once again grew louder. Almost everyone was talking about Ning Cheng's spear strike a moment ago. That spear strike was shadowless and invisible, and even some of the spectating cultivators could feel the sharp spear intent. A thin cultivator walked up to the side of the old man surnamed Ji, who had previously given up his seat to Ning Cheng. He first took out a pot of wine and respectfully handed it over to the old man before asking, "Senior, the senior who went out with Steward Lu, do you know his origin?" The old man surnamed Ji gave a snort and simply replied with a sentence, "I don't know." After which, he no longer bothered to pay any attention to the thin cultivator. "Steward Lu?" Ning Cheng chased out of the hall and called out. Steward Lu stopped and stared at Ning Cheng with a cold gaze. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to speak, he spoke up, "I said that I would call you to a small room. If you dare to be so rude again, don't blame me for throwing you out of the void airship." Ning Cheng secretly cursed this fellow for being so ruthless. However, he still walked over with a smile on his face, took out a green card and handed it to the goateed man in front of him before speaking, "Steward Lu, I should have taken more, but unfortunately, I only have this much, 500 million green coins." Steward Lu's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. 500 million green coins was not a small number. Do not look at the many cultivators that came into the hall. In fact, the amount of celestial coins that he could obtain was very little. Most of it was already taken away by the higher-ups, while he was just an errand boy. Steward Lu gave an sound, and with a slip of his hand, the green coin card that Ning Cheng had taken out disappeared. "Come with me." After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Steward Lu brought Ning Cheng to a place with a wine fragrance. He then took out a key to open a small door and spoke to Ning Cheng. "This is the place where the wine is made. You can stay in this small room for the time being. Remember, do not come out if you have nothing to do. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Also, do not enter the wine cellar, otherwise, no one would be able to save your life." "Many thanks, Steward Liu. I will definitely not come out casually, let alone enter the wine cellar." Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists and thanked him. He urgently needed to improve his cultivation. Having a place to stay was already a great thing. He was not in the mood to run around. The most important thing for him right now was to improve his cultivation in addition to improving his cultivation. This small room was only 4 or 5 square meters in size, but it was more than enough for Ning Cheng. Steward Liu, on seeing that Ning Cheng was still tactful, nodded and quickly left. After Ning Cheng entered the small room, he began to arrange array formations. He wanted to use perpetual moon pills to cultivate in this place, so he had to arrange array formations. Ning Cheng did not dare to arrange a spiritual gathering array formation. Apart from defensive array formations, most of the array formations he arranged were concealment array formations, including spiritual consciousness isolation array formations, spirit concealment array formations, and so on. From the striking order Star Land to the grand culmination Starry Skies, one would have to pass through several void interfaces. Even a Starry Sky-grade merchant ship or battleship would need at least a decade to reach the grand culmination Starry Skies. Ning Cheng had heard this from Shen Qinyu. Shen Qinyu came from the grand culmination Starry Skies and would never lie to him. For Ning Cheng, time was everything. He now had cultivation resources and was also free. If he did not go into secluded cultivation, he would truly be an idiot. Therefore, after Ning Cheng arranged the various array formations, the first thing he did was not to sort out the storage rings he obtained, but to throw out a bunch of perpetual moon pills and start cultivating. Ning Cheng had obtained a lot of perpetual moon pills many years ago, but this was his first time using perpetual moon pills for cultivation. Perpetual moon pills had a soft white color to them. Ning Cheng only knew that this medicinal pill was most suitable for ordinary cultivators to cultivate with. As for the effects, he did not know. But now that he started using perpetual moon pills for cultivation, he finally understood why perpetual moon pills were so precious. The Starry Skies essence qi contained within perpetual moon pills was extremely pure, with very few impurities. Moreover, it was easy to absorb. Compared to the Starry Skies essence qi and Starry Skies crystals gathered by spiritual gathering arrays, it was several times better. This kind of cultivation effect was in no way worse than the praying mat he obtained from the bottom of the well. Ning Cheng's meridians felt like a bottomless pit. As he absorbed pile after pile of perpetual moon pills, his cultivation also slowly rose. Chapter 560. Ning Cheng opened his eyes and felt the surging celestial essence within his body. For the first time, he felt calm in the face of the rapid rise in his cultivation. He knew very well that his cultivation was nothing in the vast starry sky. In just 2 years, he had cultivated from early-stage Celestial Shatterer Realm to full-circle Celestial Shatterer Realm with only one step left before advancing to the Celestial Gatherer Realm. Even if he had not advanced to the Celestial Gatherer Realm, Ning Cheng was very clear about his own strength. This level of strength was not much weaker than when he swallowed the Violent Celestial Pill. From this, it could be seen that the Violent Celestial Pill did not have much effect on him. Even the Celestial Bridge Realm could only be simulated. A medicinal pill that did not have much effect on him, no wonder it did not have much of an effect on him. During the 2 years of seclusion, Ning Cheng never came out. That Steward Liu also seemed to have forgotten about him and never opened the small room outside the wine cellar. His Starry Skies sea of consciousness grew clearer, and his spiritual consciousness became even more flexible. Although his cultivation had improved a lot, Ning Cheng had never stretched out his spiritual consciousness in the past 2 years. It was a merchant ship that could cross the starry skies, which meant that it definitely had a powerhouse on board. In case a powerhouse managed to capture his spiritual consciousness, it would not be worth it. It's time to advance to the Celestial Gatherer Realm, Ning Cheng thought as he slowly exhaled. Before advancing to the Celestial Gatherer realm, Ning Cheng took out the pile of storage rings. He had already erased all the spiritual consciousness tags on the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. He also did not continue to refine the copper coin, as it was for Qianghua. He absolutely did not believe that Qianghua had left. Even if Qianghua had left, he would find her no matter what. Yu Clan's storage rings, in addition to a variety of talismans, contained a bunch of materials. Ning Cheng himself was a low-level talisman master. As such, these materials could allow him to refine some talismans when he had nothing to do. As for Yu Huangfu's Celestial River-class battleship, Ning Cheng could not use it for his own use with his current ability. The only thing that made Ning Cheng happy was the 3-storied iron pagoda of Yushang. This 3-storied iron pagoda was called the Locking Star Pagoda. The first layer of fog could lock the opponent, and after locking the opponent, the second layer could easily kill the opponent. The third layer was the domain-breaking array light. If the opponent's domain was too powerful, then the third layer of the star-sealing star pagoda would activate, directly shattering the opponent's domain and easily killing them. After everything was ready, Ning Cheng once again went into seclusion to attack the Celestial Gatherer realm. A few months felt like a few seconds to Ning Cheng. It felt as if he had just entered seclusion when he woke up. He had been roused by the shaking of the ship, and it was also at almost the same time that the ship shook that he advanced to the initial level of star condensation. Celestial essence surged through his meridians like a raging river, while his starry sky's sea of consciousness turned several times tougher. At this moment, Ning Cheng even felt that he could easily lock onto a Celestial Gatherer cultivator with the same cultivation as him if he stretched out his spiritual consciousness. This was a kind of self-confidence that came with great power, and there was no reason for it. So powerful, Ning Cheng finally felt a little more excited in his heart. In less than 3 years, he advanced from the Celestial Shatterer realm to the Celestial Gatherer realm. Although he had a lot of perpetual moon pills to support him, he also knew that no one else could have done it. If he wanted to become stronger, he would have to take more risks. If he had not gone to the Time Wilderness and entered the Perpetual Moon Lake, could he have advanced to the Celestial Shatterer realm in just a dozen years? Can he comprehend sunset's twilight? Ning Cheng had just advanced to the Celestial Gatherer realm. However, this celestial essence was much richer than when he swallowed the Violent Star medicinal pill. Sure enough, this cultivation advancement was the result of one's own cultivation, which felt real and real. Continuing to consolidate his cultivation, Ning Cheng suddenly felt something wrong as he thought of this. When he had just advanced to the Celestial Gatherer realm, he felt the hull shaking. This was not the first time Ning Cheng had taken a void airship or a battleship. The last time he took a ship out of the Orchid Burrow Celestial River, he had experienced this kind of shaking, which resulted in the ship encountering endless starry skies spirit-devouring rats. Did he encounter it again? As Ning Cheng thought of this, a clear voice arrived. Our fleet found a drifting starland when we were about to enter the void. This starland contains a lot of rare artifact crafting materials, and even starry skies spirit grasses for alchemy. Now, all cultivators can enter the drifting starland to search for raw materials and starry skies spirit grasses. Cultivators who obtain raw materials and starry skies spirit grasses can sell them on the ship. However, cultivators heading to the drifting starland, please note that this drifting starland contains a lot of starry skies beasts. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness took the initiative to sweep out and found that many cultivators on the lowest deck were rushing towards the bottom deck. Ning Cheng controlled the knockoff battleship and mixed it with the many cultivators. With a casual sweep of his spiritual consciousness, he estimated that there were hundreds of thousands of cultivators rushing out of this place. After reaching the periphery of this drifting starland, Ning Cheng finally understood what the middle-aged cultivator meant when he spoke about the large number of starry skies beast hordes. Outside this drifting starland, there were endless starry skies stone-veined spiders. Even before approaching the drifting starland, one could clearly feel the fishy smell coming from the starry skies stone-veined spiders. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept around and gave out a dark sigh in his heart. These fleets truly did not have any good intentions. The cultivators who came out now were all cultivators from the lower decks. Needless to say, these cultivators from the lower decks would only come out after the cultivators from the lower decks eliminated most of the Starry Skies stone vein spiders. These lower decks not only earned a lot of celestial coins for these Starry Skies merchant ships, but they also acted as hired thugs for these merchant ships. Groups of Starry Skies stone vein spiders, on seeing the various battleships, immediately rushed out. The Starry Skies stone vein spiders spat out a multicolored spider silk and a variety of blade lights. The Starry Skies stone vein spiders looked like a dense multicolored mist, without even the slightest gap between them. Some of the cultivators who rushed to the front could not even activate the equipment on the battleships before the battleships ended up entangled by the spider silk. The battleships gave off bursts of chi-chi sounds as the multicolored spider's silk quickly corroded them. As for the cultivators who rushed out of the battleships, they generally only had enough time to send out 1 or 2 attacks before the Starry Skies stone vein spider's multicolored spider silk or blade lights swallowed them up. However, even more battleships shot out beams of light towards the Starry Skies stone vein spiders. Ning Cheng knew that these were radium light arrows of various grades, as well as some radium light cannons. Swarms of Starry Skies stone vein spiders fell to the ground, while the Starry Skies stone vein spiders continuously blew apart the cultivators' battleships. Ning Cheng's knockoff battleship also occasionally shot out a few knockoff radium light arrows, indicating that he was also attacking. Although there were many Starry Skies stone vein spiders, it still paled in comparison to the Starry Skies spirit-devouring rats that Ning Cheng had encountered previously. After half a day, the Starry Skies stone vein spiders became even more sparse. Just when the Starry Skies stone vein spiders were about to fall apart, countless battleships once again flew out of the dozen or so merchant ships suspended in place. The Starry Skies stone vein spiders, who could no longer resist, immediately collapsed and fled. Ning Cheng only understood at this moment that these cultivators did not come out because they feared death, but because they did not want to waste the radium light arrows. As soon as the Starry Skies stone vein spiders fled, the million cultivators immediately rushed into the floating starland. Ning Cheng naturally would not be polite. This kind of floating starland was generally an ownerless land. Whoever entered first would be able to obtain the best things. Although there were 1 million people, after entering the floating starland, everyone instantly dispersed. Soon, Ning Cheng could not even see a single person's shadow around him. In such a place, Ning Cheng no longer held back his spiritual consciousness and spread out. A bamboo exuding a powerful vitality appeared within the range of his spiritual consciousness. Although Ning Cheng did not know what this bamboo was, he knew that it was definitely a good thing. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng arrived in front of this bamboo. This was a green bamboo that was only 3 feet tall. The bamboo leaves on it looked similar to those of ordinary bamboo, but they were much wider. Ning Cheng was just about to dig up this bamboo when a figure appeared in his spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng sped up his movements, and by the time he dug up the bamboo, the figure had already landed in front of him. Chapter 561. It's you? Ning Cheng recognized the black-robed cultivator standing in front of him. He did not expect to meet Lu Pingxuan here. Presumably, this fellow represented Striking Order Starry Skies at the Grand Culmination Starry Skies. However, since he met Ning Cheng, it meant that the Grand Culmination Starry Skies had 1 less genius. Lu Pingxuan did not feel surprised that Ning Cheng recognized him. He was a celebrity, personally named by Striking Order Heavenly Emperor as the 7th-ranked genius in the Time Wilderness trial. What was so strange about this ant without a celestial will recognizing him? You sure have guts. A cultivator without a celestial will dares to come here. Give me that green bamboo in your hand, and I'll give you some benefits. Lu Pingxuan looked at the green bamboo in Ning Cheng's hand and spoke with a calm tone. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. You want this green bamboo? Do you know what kind of bamboo this is? What use does it have? If you can answer me, I might consider it. If you don't know what kind of bamboo this is, what do you want it for? If not for Ning Cheng not knowing what kind of bamboo this was, he would have already started, or at least told Lu Pingchuan to fuck off. Huh. Lu Pingchuan laughed. Today, I'll teach you a thing or two. This is rootless green bamboo. As Lu Pingchuan spoke, he brought out a pair of symbols. The symbols brought out a powerful spatial killing intent that completely enveloped Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not have the leisure to talk to a little celestial novice ant. Ning Cheng was just thinking that the bamboo he dug up really did not have roots when Lu Pingchuan attacked him. Putting the rootless green bamboo into the miniature world, Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out with the treasured thunder spear. Lu Pingchuan turned furious. He did not think that Ning Cheng, a fellow without a celestial wheel, would dare to attack him in front of him. However, Lu Pingchuan quickly felt that something was wrong. The powerful celestial river domain instantly took control of the space between the two sides. It felt as if millions of tons of sand were dragging him down, causing the sluggish shackles to grow stronger and stronger. At the same time, the other party's treasured thunder spear intent directly pierced through the domain and arrived in front of him in a flash. It's you! The moment Ning Cheng's domain stretched out and affected him, Lu Pingchuan immediately recognized Ning Cheng and immediately overflowed with killing intent. Since entering the time wilderness, he had been searching for Ning Cheng. Later, he learned that Ning Cheng had fallen in the time wilderness. However, he never expected that Ning Cheng would appear in this place. Lu Pingchuan crazily stimulated his pair of symbols. In his opinion, although Ning Cheng had a few tricks up his sleeve, but compared to a celestial gatherer genius like him, the gap was just too big. Bang! Boom! 2 consecutive explosions rang out. Lu Pingchuan's pair of copper symbols could not resist Ning Cheng's thunder spear at all. With just 2 explosions, Ning Cheng blasted them away. As Ning Cheng blasted away the pair of symbols, his traceless spear intent also became clearer. Lu Pingchuan could not help but feel shocked by Ning Cheng's power. His figure flashed and tried to avoid this spear. However, Ning Cheng's powerful celestial river domain completely suppressed his domain. Although he managed to avoid the fatal blow, the treasured thunder spear still pierced through his shoulder. Treacherous, you hid your cultivation last time. Lu Pingchuan felt shocked in his heart. He never thought that Ning Cheng, a cultivator without a celestial wheel, would turn out to be so terrifying. Just a single spear strike had almost killed him. Ning Cheng did not want to waste even a little bit of time. His celestial river domain once again swept out crazily, while the treasured thunder spear once again brought out a shadowless spear trace. Poof! A bloody mist passed through Lu Pingchuan's glabella. Lu Pingchuan stared at Ning Cheng. He could not believe that Ning Cheng could kill him with just 2 spears. Even striking Order Starland's premier celestial scryer genius Tsin Fei could not kill him in such a short time. With a twist of the treasured thunder spear in Ning Cheng's hand, Lu Pingchuan's corpse fell to the ground. Throwing out a fireball, Ning Cheng put away Lu Pingchuan's things and instantly left the place. Ning Cheng had just left when a shadow appeared not far away. This shadow stared at Ning Cheng's disappearing back and murmured, "So powerful." Ning Cheng did not know anything about the rootless green bamboo, nor did he know anything about the uses of the rootless green bamboo. However, it was not as if he did not know anything about these materials. Mystical sifting wood, severing moon steel, cold chi heavenly silk, these were not precious artifact crafting materials. As such, he could still recognize them. In just a few days, Ning Cheng had collected a lot of these artifact crafting materials. As for the starry sky spiritual grasses, he did not find even a single one. Boom! A loud explosion erupted, and Ning Cheng felt a tremor under his feet. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to react to what was going on, an ice-cold chill almost penetrated into his bones. This bone-penetrating chill almost took away his entire mind. The terrifying killing intent made him want to lie down on the ground. Ning Cheng slowly retreated to a bare stone wall and leaned against it, feeling extremely shocked in his heart. He knew that in the face of this killing intent and power, he could not even resist. Another harsh sound arrived. This time Ning Cheng was able to clearly see that it was a knife. He had never seen such a terrifying blade before. He felt sure that if this blade landed on the starland under his feet, it might even split the starland in half. As the blade light descended, it felt as if half of the sky was pouring down. Even if Ning Cheng stood far away from the blade, the powerful blade intent and murderous aura caused his legs to tremble against the stone wall. Boom! Another loud explosion erupted, and the blade light overflowed with a fishy smell. What surprised Ning Cheng even more was that such a terrifying blade could actually be blocked. Then, a figure emerged from the void, a middle-aged cultivator wearing a golden robe. Blocking this golden-robed cultivator was a huge starry skies stone-striped spider. So powerful! Ning Cheng murmured. That senior is called Tangjio, a powerhouse in the striking order Starry Skies heaven-seated realm. That Starry Skies stone-striped spider is also very powerful. It should be a grade 7 Starry Skies beast. Almost at the same time that Ning Cheng discovered someone not far from him, this person's voice also arrived. Less than 3 feet away from him, there was also a celestial gatherer cultivator leaning against him. He had the cultivation of full-circle celestial gatherer cultivator, with yellowish hair and a very delicate appearance. This cultivator, on seeing Ning Cheng look at him, smiled at Ning Cheng, revealing his neat teeth. Hello, my name is Zish Jun, from named Descendant Celestial River. My name is Ning Ruocheng. Ning Cheng casually came up with a name while feeling amazed at this Zish Jun's concealment cultivation method. Even his Starry Skies sea of consciousness could not detect him. Although he did not deliberately look for him, it still indirectly showed that this Zish Jun was an extraordinary person. Why would such a powerful celestial gatherer cultivator take the initiative to greet him, a Starry Skies wanderer without a celestial wheel? However, since this Zish Jun came from named Descendant Celestial River, could he inquire about him? Boom, boom, boom. Just as Ning Cheng and Zish Jun spoke, Tangjio and the Starry Skies stone-striped spider once again clashed in midair, causing a storm of celestial essence to erupt. Some of the unlucky cultivators could only crawl on the ground and could not move at all. The might of a grade 7 Starry Skies stone-striped spider made Ning Cheng tremble in fear. He even suspected that the spider silk could lock onto him. 2 more figures rushed over, but the grade 7 Starry Skies stone-striped spider seemed to know that it was outnumbered. It stomped on the ground with its long legs and instantly disappeared without a trace. Seeing the grade 7 Starry Skies stone-striped spider disappear, Zish Jun continued, You might not be familiar with Senior Tangjio, but you definitely know about his elder brother, Senior Tang Yitong. Ning Cheng immediately spoke up, Yes, I heard that Senior Tang Yitong is an eternal-level powerhouse. Moreover, one of the celestial scryer geniuses participating in this trial is his daughter, Tang Yu. Zish Jun smiled. Tang Yu took 3rd place this time. Her cultivation far surpasses us. Brother Zish is too modest. With Brother Zish's ability, I don't think you would be any worse than that Tang Yu. Ning Cheng did not speak these words casually. Just by looking at Zish Jun's silent movements, Ning Cheng understood that this fellow was not a weakling. Zish Jun felt a little puzzled. It stood to reason that this cultivator in front of him should know him. He had obtained 10th place in the Striking Order Starry Skies Time Wilderness Trial. He had also obtained 10th place in the Striking Order Starry Skies Grand Culmination Starry Skies competition. So why did this Ning Ruocheng not know him? Since he did not know him, how did he know Lu Pingchuan? Ning Cheng was just thinking about whether to ask Zish Jun about the named Descendant Celestial River when he saw dozens of figures quickly flying past him, seemingly heading in the same direction. Zish Jun picked up the communication pearl and immediately spoke up in surprise, I found essence harmonizing celestial fruits here. Brother Ning, if you don't mind, let's go together. Essence harmonizing celestial fruits? The main Starry Skies spirit fruit for refining the harmonizing celestial pill? Ning Cheng spoke up in shock. Within the vast Starry Skies, there were not many high-grade spiritual grasses. As for things like essence harmonizing celestial fruits, they were even rarer. Generally, for Starry Skies cultivators, as long as they advanced from the Celestial Novice realm to the Celestial Shatterer realm and then to the Celestial Gatherer realm, as long as they had good qualifications and a strong comprehension ability, even without Starry Skies spirit pills. Ning Qing himself was an example. He had used the praying mat to advance to the Celestial Shatterer realm and then to the Celestial Gatherer realm with the help of perpetual moon pills. However, advancing from the Celestial Gatherer realm to the Celestial Bridge realm was not a simple matter. Unless one was a top-grade genius or had heaven-defying opportunities, one would need Starry Skies medicinal pills. The best pill for such a pill was the Harmonizing Celestial Pill. The main spirit fruit for refining the Harmonizing Celestial Pill was the Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruit, a fruit that was extremely difficult to find. Now that an Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruit had appeared in this place, it was no wonder that so many cultivators were rushing towards it. Yes, it's the Starry Skies spirit fruit for refining the Harmonizing Celestial Pill. Zish Jun spoke with certainty. Okay. Many thanks for Brother Zish's information. Ning Qing agreed to Zish Jun's proposal without hesitation. The two also stepped onto their weapons and quickly followed. In just half an hour, Ning Qing and Zish Jun arrived at the place where the Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruit was located. Looking at the dense crowd of cultivators bombarding a natural array formation, Ning Qing sucked in a breath of cold air. With so many cultivators trying to snatch the Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruit, how many chances did he have? What's more, it was not just cultivators in the Celestial Scryer realm who were attacking the array formation, there were also many cultivators in the Celestial River realm. Standing outside, one could vaguely see more than a dozen tall Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruit trees in the middle of this natural array formation, each tree bearing Essence Harmonizing Celestial Fruits. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.